It's time for a little Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gerry. Welcome to another Friday of Pop Culture Minefield and Friends. And we have...
Wait, is that what it's called?
Yeah. You're the
You're the end, and so is Steven.
Oh, yeah. I never saw the name of the show. I guess it was like, yeah, I'll come on. Sorry,
Scott's like checking his text going, friend, I didn't say this was ever going to be happening.
What's going on? See, up in the corner it even says a Pop Culture Minefield and Friends. And our guest today is my buddy Scott Kinney from, Mark Hamill's Pop Culture Quest. He's the producer, and he's worked on some other stuff that's really cool. I shared your IMDb page last night with the guys. I'm actually gonna make you center. And where do we do this? I always forget how to do this.
Oh my God!
Here we go.
There you go. That's it.
Boom. That's the one. That's Scott Kinney. And I met Scott Kinney at an Oklahoma comic convention where he was selling some comics and toys. And in fact, you had just finished a comic, as I recall at the time, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yep. And that was one of them you had there. And he started talking to me, and I'm like, who the fuck is this long-haired weirdo? Why is he talking to me?
I just heard this story.
You want to run the show, Steven?
Your logo is covering out Mad's head.
Do you want to run this show, Steven?
You're literally covering Mad's head with the lower icon.
Want to run this show, Steven?
What's happening?
He can't breathe, man. He can't breathe.
I'm hiding you behind.
He's gonna fall out of his wheelchair.
His logo is so big.
He's gonna fall out of his wheelchair if he.
Who does your stuff? Oh, there we go.
There you go. I'll put it back on.
This is what I put up with, Scott. This is what I put up with. Anyway, I wonder what people are saying in the comments. Is the show about to start?
No one said that, actually. Everybody's being very patient.
Well, PCM 6, by the way, in the conversation in the chat says, I wonder why anyone talks to you. Well, when you say PCM, you're also including Keith. So, way to go, racist.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Welcome to Accusations of Racism, brought to you by Pop Culture Minefield.
So, all right. So we met at that convention, and we became pretty chummy, and we've talked a lot over the years. And I think that was, 2014?
Yeah.
So we've been friends for 7 years. So
yeah.
Yet I still don't know anything about you. What do you do on your average day? Would you bathe in the morning, or are you an evening bather?
Do you use a loofah, or do you use a loofah on a stick?
Yeah, both.
At the same time?
Yeah, the loofah on a stick has lots of possibilities, but
that's good reach.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I've never thought about attaching a stick to it.
Well, when I met Gerry, I was on the beginning of kind of a new path for myself. I'm kind of a vintage junkie. I like antiques and I like vintage stuff. I like old comics. I like old toys. I like old furniture, stuff like that, antique stuff. And I started setting up as a dealer at comic book shows, and that was one of the first ones I had set up at. And they gave me a table as like a special guest also. So I had, in the dealer's room, I had this booth, with toys and stuff that I was selling. And then I also had a table next to Gerry because I had just self-published a comic book. No, I hadn't self-published. This one was actually published by an actual Arcana Studios. I had self-published previously.
Yeah, don't make me break that comic out to look all the info up.
Yeah. So I was sitting next to Gerry out front at certain times, and I had friends watching my booth, and they'd say, come back to the booth because we don't know the price on this thing. And I'd run back there, and then I'd come back, and sit next to Gerry. And we had a great time. You know how it is at cons, especially when you're in Artist Alley. and a lot of times you just get kind of ignored, and so you spend hours just like hanging out and talking and stuff, and so you can really get to know someone really well at a con like that, because you'll spend, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've set up at many cons in Artist Alley or small press or whatever, and so you spend most of the con just like hanging out, talking to the guy next to you, and he publishes a porn comic or whatever. But it's cool. We're all buddies here. We're all friends here.
Quick question: who is this dude, and where do I find this porn comic, and what is the title?
Just Google.
That's racist.
Well,
Don't use Google.
okay. I'll say this about the porn comic because it's a good story, or slightly good. I was set up at the San Diego Comic-Con in, I think it was 2004, 2003 era, and I was in the small press area, and I had my first self-published book with me, and the guy next to me had kind of a porny comic. It may have been like more softcore, or might have been like even more cheesecake, but his wife was the subject of most of the drawings, and his wife was with him there. So some of the drawings were nudes, and his wife was there, and I was like, is this accurate? Or, I mean, it was just so uncomfortable, the whole thing, but that was my first like setting up at a con, experience.
Yeah, because like I sat next to somebody who did hentai art, and I was just like, I kept asking I won't say what con it was, or who I spoke to, because Keith knows them, and I'm like, can you move me a couple tables down? I really don't want my art right next to that. I really don't.
Yeah.
You do know that the tentacles don't come out of the comic and touch your stuff, Gerry, right?
Yeah, like it's not going to infect
It's not
yours.
hentai, but yeah, that's okay. You're racist and don't know the difference between things.
What was that? I couldn't hear you.
So Scott, what was your lead in to working on Pop Culture Quest?
Yeah.
Like, how did that come to be?
Okay, so I had worked in Hollywood at a film production company for about 8-10 years, something like 8 or 9 years, something like that. And I had done film development on a bunch of projects. Like I worked on Johnny Quest at Warner Brothers. I worked at Hitman, the video game, at 2 different studios. I worked with Scott Derrickson, who directed Doctor Strange, on a film at CBS Film. So I'd done quite a bit of film development work prior to the Pop Culture Quest show happening, and I was a complete failure. I got nothing made. I got a lot of projects set up around town. I met a lot of people, worked at a lot of different studios and different projects, which was fantastic. But when you work in the movie business, you want to make movies. I mean, that's the assumption. And I wasn't making movies. The movies that I did work on were bad movies, and honestly got taken out of our hands at a certain point, which is a pretty common Hollywood story. It's whoever's paying for the movie ends up making the movie.
Yeah.
People that develop a film, producers, writers, et cetera, up to a certain point. When people pay for it, they take it over, in most cases. So my experience in Hollywood had been very bad, and I was ready to quit, and I had pretty much just dropped out. I had lots of projects in the works, but I just couldn't take it anymore. And anyway, I had this idea that I thought, well, what do I like? What do I want to do? If I could see something that I had anything to do with on the screen, what would it be? And I was like, well, it'd be a collecting show, because I collect. I'm just a junkie for 80s, 70s, 80s stuff, pop culture stuff, toys, comic books, whatever.
I had a question.
Well, that explains everything behind you now. Like
Yeah.
I was wondering, well, so with
You collect
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
collect vintage. You collect vintage and antiques, right? Like
Yeah,
most of that
I mean-
kind of taste. So is that how you became friends with Gerry? Because antique.
No.
No.
Gerry was that random encounter at that comic show where I was
that one night stand that lingered.
yes.
The one you had to
exactly.
cover the face before
what,
swinging.
like syphilis? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Syphilis isn't a one night stand. It comes back.
It's more like herpes.
No, syphilis doesn't come back. It never goes away. And
Yeah.
if you don't catch it
Anyway.
early, it's 3 shots to each hip.
We're interrupting you, Scott. Please
Antique
continue.
syphilis.
Well, I honestly couldn't get enough of Gerry. You know what?
Yeah, that didn't sound gay at all.
Yeah.
Not after all the syphilis talk. No.
No, man. The guy, he was the hottest thing going there. I mean,
Burning.
he's right. You know, there were some comic book guests and there were some bigger guests. Like I said, you know, Matt was
I outsold Matt
yeah.
at the con.
And Gerry is a more interesting guy. And the thing is that you know, when you're at a comic book show and you're there talking geek stuff and comic book stuff, you always want to talk to the person that knows the most about that stuff, right? And so you know, my brain works in weird ways, and I love talking about comic book art and artists, and you know, Gerry's very much into that, and so I can spend hours talking about. And I want to be an artist, and I've done art, but I don't consider myself an artist. I don't consider myself a comic book artist. I'm a wannabe, and so I admire a lot of things about comic book artists. So I can spend a lot of time talking about line weights and little details in comic book art that really, you know, get me turned on and hot. And
Like a porn comic?
Yeah.
We really have a theme for this one, don't we?
This episode is really just a filthy, filthy episode.
This episode was brought to you by Comics Cialis.
Yeah, so that's what you want. If you're stuck there, you know, for 6-7 hours just sitting at a table, that's what you want. You want to be able to talk about things you're very, very interested in. So we had
some great chats, and my daughter got a kick out of you, as did Mac. Mac used to be a part of the show, and but he wanted to work in a library, so he works in a library now instead of doing this show.
Wait, I'm sorry. He left like the internet, the thing, to go work for the library, which I didn't know still existed.
Because you met him. He was the bald guy that was with me, and he just hates people worse than me.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hates them worse than me, and it's just he likes to work in a quiet public library. That's his life.
Well, if you hate people, the library is where you're going to want to be because there's not a lot of people showing up.
Not a lot of people in there. That's what he says. He says, I asked him, did anybody come in today? He goes, not yet. But he liked you, you know, because he was really getting into your comic. And he's like, I'd like to see some more of this. And I'm like, yeah, good luck, motherfucker. Yeah. But that was such a great show. And tell me, were you not disappointed when they didn't do another one?
Yeah, you know, I started my Comic Con experience in Tulsa, which is where that show happened. There was in the 70s and 80s, there was a show in Tulsa, Oklahoma called OCON, OKON, and it started sometime in the mid 70s, maybe early 70s. But the first one I went to was in 1980, and I was in 6th grade, and my parents dropped me off at the Mayo Hotel in downtown Tulsa because they assumed it was safe because there were Star Wars people there or something. and so I, from that point on, I realized that there was this other world, this world where people that liked the movies that I liked and the comic books that I read and the artists that I was into would all get together every year at this thing. And as a kid in like 6th grade, going to my first convention, I met Alan Dean Foster, I think, was the first celebrity that I met, and he was the guest of honor at that show or whatever. And so I was hooked after that. So anything that happened in my hometown from then on forward, any sort of small, con, big con, whatever, I always checked it out. And, eventually I started, setting up and being part of the Artist Alley because I was self-publishing and getting published by other people. So to me, anything that's going on in that realm in Tulsa, I was interested in, and so it was random, again, how Gerry and I met there.
Are you from Oklahoma?
Yeah, Tulsa
okay.
is my hometown.
Oh yeah, I went to Spartan School of Aeronautics over on Riverside. Near Riverside.
Yeah. I did work for them as at an advertising agency.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I it didn't go well. Like I was there for a year and we came to a decision I should do something else. I didn't get kicked out for drinking and smoking, nothing like that. It was a mutual decision between two of us.
So it was drinking and smoking. Okay.
It was a pink slip.
Well, now, Scott, had you started into collecting older things and before you had started going to conventions?
Fuck you, Steven. I know the way your brain works. You said older things. So he's like
vintage things.
Yeah.
You're not helping, Keith. You're not helping.
I found Gerry on the Antique Roadshow. Someone was trying to price him at $40K.
Honestly, retro is less offensive,
Thank you.
So Gerry's retro. He's definitely retro.
Can we just call him the soundless movie?
I'm a weird. I'm one of those weird people, and you probably know some or have met some over the years. But there's something about people that are pack rats that also have a high level of nostalgia, whatever reason. You know what I mean? So as a kid, I kept like weird things like paper and like if I went to a comic con or a little show, or whatever, I'd take the poster and I'd keep it. And so I have stuff from my childhood. Like I have like a poster from a college tour of Star Trek bloopers or whatever, I tore that off and so for whatever reason, at a young age, I started keeping stuff like that. And I guess it bled over to, when I graduated from college, I immediately started buying going to flea markets and buying $6 million man figures and whatever,
wow.
Stuff from my childhood. As soon as I had any money, I was very interested in buying my childhood, which is weird because I'm a young man. At that point, you're living life to the fullest. You're just kicking ass. Everything's great. You're 20 years old. Why are you interested in yourself at 12 years old and the stuff that you're into? I have no idea. It's just how my brain worked. And so I got into, and so I started going to flea markets and antique shows as a young man and buying stuff like that.
Wow. Now, what out of all the things you collected, what is your most prized possession, and what is something that's actually worth a lot of money? Not necessarily your most prized possession, but
oh boy. My most prized possession, and I'll go ahead and flip the camera.
Shoguns. I love those Shoguns.
Oh wow. Dude.
Wow.
I had a question though behind your head.
We were really just looking at a piece of it, huh?
I had the Shogun Warriors as a whole, as a collection, is probably, if you wanted to say one piece, because I have focused on trying to collect the entirety of everything that was released. And I'm not there yet. I'm still several pieces away, like 6 pieces away. But I've tried to collect everything that Mattel released on this individual toy line. And I guess I'll get up just because I can. I have legs. I can move around. And,
unlike Mad Mardigan.
Yeah.
Scott, I had a
It's
question
such a
quickly.
bad joke. I don't know why y'all keep going with it.
Scott, I had a question. The green one to your left, the left of all the Shoguns, is that literally the
Oh, Godzilla?
No, the one right there. That what was it called?
This one?
Yeah.
Oh,
the green.
the one
holding
in the
j-
corner above your
What
head.
is that? What is that?
Garlu. Everything's opposite for me.
Yeah.
The one
Yeah.
the one holding the green dude. Yeah.
Yeah. That's Great Garlu.
Yeah.
Made by Mark's Toys in the mid 1960s.
I don't
he's
remember that
probably
at all.
Precursor to everything jumbo that came out afterwards. Like the jumbo Godzilla. Yeah. This is the original Japanese version. That's the U.S. version.
Is he pregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a minute there, I thought the green dude.
Yeah, the old Godzilla toys. Godzilla is fat. I mean, he's literally fat. He's always has a beer belly.
Diabetes.
Yeah.
Diabetes.
That's funny.
Wow.
I literally thought the green
amazing.
dude was the Kraken from the original Clash of the Titans. Remember?
Was that Rodan?
That is not. But Kraken is here. I'm sorry that
no, that's not. That's
there. He is. There he is. Can you see?
No way.
Oh yeah, I see him.
So he's Kraken is a jumbo, what we would call a jumbo toy, and jumbo toys are very in demand, very expensive. But Kraken, he's kind of like a lot of people's holy grail. It's a great toy. I mean,
hey, can I see that Monster Zero you have hanging up above? Oh no,
that's Rodan.
Yeah, it's Rodan.
Yeah.
I thought it was at first, and then I thought I saw 2 heads or 3 heads, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's not.
Oh well,
Rodan.
I have some Monster Zeros around here.
God
here's a fun one. You guys remember the 90s?
Oh man, yeah.
This is the
My buddy Jason Pancoke could be losing his mind right now because he's a
Trendmasters. Yeah, Trendmasters
Toho collector.
And a guy named a friend of mine named Butch Burcham, Newton is his real name, did the little trading card art. Man, everything is opposite. Sorry, you can't hardly see it, but every one of these figures had a little trading card in it. And a buddy of mine did the trading card art, and I had no idea. I recently learned that he did all the little trading cards in here, and I was like, oh my God, do you have those originals? And of course he didn't.
Well, I mean, if you're interested, I have the trading cards for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I don't know if you're familiar with that Kevin Costner movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I still have them.
I have the '89 Batman ones.
Well, I bought a lot of trading cards in that late 80s, early 90s period, like that, like Rocketeer. That was the big one. And there was the Jack Kirby, Gil Kane comic book, not comic book. They worked on a bunch of animation projects in the late, well, I guess it was the early 80s for them, but the card set came out in the late, a lot of stuff like that. And of course, let's see, Ken Kelly and, all those Bernie Wrights. And, the early 90s was the huge boom of the trading card set. And I bought all those boxes, of course.
Wow. You've got a nice collection.
That is really cool, dude.
Thank you.
Wow. I mean, I'm losing it over here just looking at what you have.
Now,
yeah, no
going
one
back,
He's filling up his bathtub.
Let's go back to how you, because we kind of got ADD drove us off in a different direction.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Earlier, Mark Hamill, how you got connected with him and doing the show, because I want to point out that I knew he was a nerd early on from interviews, and it was even mentioned on the back of, I think, the second series of Star Wars cards, his fascination with King Kong and all that shit. And that in 1987, I think it was, Amazing Stories came out on TV.
Yeah.
And he was in the episode playing a collector.
Yeah.
And he collects all these things, and then he's told that one day he'll be rich as long as he keeps collecting them. Then he's like this old man. And finally, he finds out that all that stuff he collected is worth a fortune.
Yeah.
So he becomes rich as an old man. But it was then that I found out, because of that episode, that he was an avid collector. of memorabilia, that was one of the reasons why he was picked to play that part, because of his fascination with collecting sci-fi memorabilia. Now, let's get back to how you connected with him.
Yeah, the episode you're talking about is, I think it's called Gather Ye Acorns. Amazing Stories.
Yeah, I love that episode.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I'd watched that a million times. No, when I had decided that I couldn't take the Hollywood crap anymore, I thought, well, I'll just start pitching projects that I just want to do personally, and maybe I'll sell one, because I had literally pitched hundreds of projects, over my time, and some of them sold, and we'd get a little money and get development, hire a screenwriter, blah, blah, blah. And then the movie wouldn't get made, or the movie would get taken away, like I said. But so when I decided I'd had enough, if I was going to do anything in Hollywood, it will be something that I really, really am passionate about. And if I'm rejected for my passion, that's okay. I feel like I just need to do it. So I started pitching this idea of doing a toy collecting show that was similar to American Pickers.
I was going to bring up American Pickers. It has that feel to it.
Yeah, American Pickers was pretty new.
Mm-hmm.
When I started, developing this, I thought, oh, well, if these guys can do the antique thing, I could do comic books or toys or whatever along the same lines of finding stuff. So I started pitching that, and I talked to a lot of people, and I ended up having this conversation randomly with a guy named Darren Moorman, who is a good friend of mine now. But at the time, I barely knew him, and he was a independent film producer. And we just kind of hit it off. That, it's one of those phone conversations where it's like, well, Scott, what do you want to do right now? Like, what are you looking for? What's your passion? And I said, this is my passion. This is the thing I want to do. I collect toys. I want to do a show about collecting nerd stuff. And he goes, oh, really? I know Howard Kazanjian. And I knew who Howard was, because I'm a nerd. Howard Kazanjian is the producer of Return of the Jedi. He was the executive producer of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he was at Lucasfilm from the golden era, from 1977 to 1985 or something like that. So he was like the VP there. And so I knew who Howard was, and I said, oh, I'd love to meet Howard. If we can have this phone call, that'd be great. And he said, yeah, let's have this phone call. And he said, I grew up in Howard's neighborhood. He mentored me in the film business. He's a great guy. And so I got on the phone with Howard, and he said, just pitch him, what it is. And I pitched to Howard. Well, Howard's a collector. So I didn't know that. I mean, he collects antiques, and his production company name is Magic Lantern, which I didn't know what a Magic Lantern was. But a Magic Lantern is like some sort of old school projecting device or something.
Yes.
And he collects those.
I had one.
Okay. Yeah, he's got like just tons of them, just like different ones. And so we started talking, and he was like, yes, I love this. And so write it out for me so I can send it out to some people I know in the business. So I wrote the pitch out, and, a couple weeks later, he said, what do you think about pitching this to my friend Mark Hamill? And, I knew who Mark Hamill was, obviously. I knew he was talking about the Mark Hamill, not some other random Mark Hamill, because it was Howard Kazanjian. So I said, yes, of course. And I knew when he said that Mark was a collector, like Gerry said. It goes back. He was outed early on as a guy that was kind of a nerd.
It was like right after Star Wars, because he had done an interview and talked about how big he was into cartoons and sci-fi. And I was just like, oh my God, he's one of us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I love the poetry of that a guy who grew up being like a fan of Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers became the next Flash Gordon. I mean, literally became the next Flash Gordon because Lucas wanted to make Flash Gordon and couldn't get the rights. So said, all right, I'll write Flash Gordon with my own characters. And he writes this Luke Skywalker character through all the iterative process that became, from Star Killer to Luke Skywalker. And then he casts this guy who is a fan of all of that and then becomes that. It's so, it's awesome. And Mark is totally aware of that himself.
That would make Han Solo Killer Kane. If you're going off of Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, Han Solo would be Killer Kane.
Yeah.
Oh, I've always said that.
Yeah, and Han Solo evolved into a good guy through the script development process. He wasn't before, I don't think. But anyway, so we had that. I was like, oh yes, I definitely want to pitch it to Mark. I know he collects. I know he was at that by that point he was already a known like golden age comic collector. And has a really nice golden age, comic collection, but he also has toys and lunch boxes and stuff. So anyway, so I got on the phone with Mark and it was pretty amazing to pitch him the idea for the show and for him to go, I love it.
That was a pretty good Mark Hamill, by the way, you just did.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, all right. So that's all, that's all that took. That was the end of that. He was on board, and it became, what was great about it was a really hard sell of a show. And what was great about it was that because he was personally invested in it, from his collecting standpoint, when we started pitching it to networks, and everybody wanted to hear the pitch because Mark was involved. So when we would go to like NBC Universal to pitch it to, Sci-Fi and different people there at the networks, the president, I don't even remember he's probably not there. He's probably been replaced like 3 times. But the president of NBC Universal came down and wanted to meet Mark. And we were like, oh, so that means you're going to do the show? No. No. But because it was a geeky collector show, and it was really before its time when we were pitching it. Now everything's all geek, like geek rules everything.
Mm-hmm.
At that time they were like, why would anyone watch this? It's like, well, I don't know. I mean, we're into it. Maybe other people are. I mean, I can't give you the demographics on it because I don't know. I hang out with these people, and everybody that I know is into comic books and toys and stuff like that. So I assume everybody else is. I mean, but anyways, they didn't get it, and Mark stuck with us the whole time through all the rejections of people saying this is stupid or whatever. And they would come back and say, hey, Mark, here's the thing. Dump these losers and do this show with us. And they'd pitch him XYZ. And to his credit, he said, nah, he really said, I want to do a show about collecting. I know it doesn't make any sense to you, but here's the show I want to do. And if you want to hire me to do it, I'll do it. It'd be great. So it took a long time to find someone that was willing, to not make it a game show. I mean, or
are we going to get a second season?
Oh no, that's such a long story, but the company that actually financially back the show, it was I guess I'll back up. So the first people that said, yes, we want to do it and we want to give you actual money was Nerdist. You guys know Nerdist.
Yeah.
They were the first people that said, we want to do this show and we want to raise the money to do it. And we have a little bit of money. Can we make a little pilot or something for a low budget? And we were like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll work with you guys to make it happen. And for whatever reason, I think it fell apart. I think actually, here's what's funny. Here's what's bad about Hollywood. And Hollywood sucks.
It does.
We were all on board, me, all the producers, and Mark, to do this like super low budget pilot. And his attorney literally came back and said, it is not worth my time to even mess with this.
Jeez.
So you guys are on your own. And so we just like dumped it because his are we allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah, go right the fuck
Say
ahead.
whatever the fuck you want.
Okay,
We don't fucking cuss. We just cuss.
I
We
keep
call people
wanting
racist.
to, but I keep holding myself back. But anyway, yeah, it was stupid. So one of the guys that was involved in the Nerdist project ended up getting like some funding from Lionsgate television, and he licensed the logo and name of Comic-Con from San Diego Comic-Con, which they own, as you all know. They've successfully sued people for using the word Comic-Con. So they licensed. So they created a network called Comic-Con HQ, and Lionsgate was funding it. Well, so the first season got, we did all that and filmed it and it aired, and they said, you guys were our top rated show. So we want to do more. We want to do a second season, and we need a budget. So we worked up a budget and submitted it, and they said, great, your budget's approved. We're going to do this. And then, that, spinning wheel of death happened where you don't hear from the people for a couple weeks. You're like, are we going to do this? Are we doing this? I thought we were doing this. And then you hear from them, and then everything is falling apart. Lionsgate is pulled out. They're not financing anything. We're going to have to give up the Comic-Con HQ, license to the name, and all this kind of stuff. So we just end up getting thrown into oblivion. Like, oh, okay, so we're not doing this now? And they're like, no, because Lionsgate bought Stars for $4 billion, and they lost interest in this project, and they just told us they weren't funding it anymore, and literally cut off. Like, we had to lay off people immediately because we couldn't pay salaries, nothing. I was like, oh, okay, wonderful. And this happened like the weekend that we were announcing the second season at Celebration 2016 in Orlando, the Star Wars.
Wow.
Well,
This like the phone call came like we were getting on stage, and they were like, guys, bad news. Lionsgate's pulled all the funding. It was like literally.
What were you needing per episode? What were you needing?
Oh, in terms of money?
Yeah.
We did the first season like super low budget. I can't even say.
Well,
it was like
read the comment
low
on the screen. Read the comment on the screen, Mr. Tickletrunk, who's a friend of this show.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, no, we did talk about that, and just I don't want to misrepresent Mark in any way because he's a great guy and a friend of mine, but for whatever reason, Mark. And I'm talking about Hamill, views crowdfunding in a very negative light, like celebrities shouldn't beg for money.
Yeah.
Now,
I absolutely, I see that.
yeah, celebrities won't self-finance because they've always been told never to do that. So that's why you very rarely see, a celebrity that will actually, who is a millionaire or multimillionaire or billionaire even, fund their own movie. It's like it's I guess it's self-serving or something to them. I don't know.
Kip Ellis has a question for you.
Oh, hey, Kip.
Do producers make any money asking for a friend?
Most of what producers do is on spec.
Sorry, this.
You are trying to sell your project, and you only make money if you sell it. And if you sell it, you may not even make minimum wage. Even if it goes to screen, you may not make minimum wage, to be honest. The time that you spend developing a project, like I've worked with many screenwriters to develop a spec script. Like they spent weeks and months writing a screenplay, right? On their own time. No one paid them. They then submit that script to a production company, and depending on the size of the production company, how much money they have, do they have a deal with the studio, the production company may option the script for no money and say, listen, we want to pitch your script. We'll give you 0 against X if we sell it, or at least a minimum of X if we sell it, and we're going to go for more, whatever. So the producer, who hasn't made any money yet, just working on spec, goes around town pitching this, sends it out, goes to all the meetings, and tries to sell the script or the concept or whatever it is. All that, again, you're not getting paid for. Your office space, your car rental, your gas, your food for lunches, none of this, all that's out of your own pocket. In Hollywood, that's how it works. You have to go out and pitch on your own dime. You have to be able to support yourself. And so you go out, and then a studio says, oh, we like this project. It's fantastic. We want to option it from you. We want to option the screenplay. We'll pay you some money. So they'll give the writer some upfront money. It's a lot of times it's in steps. They'll give the writer some money for his screenplay. They'll give the producer some money for setting it up and for pre-production and for development. You go into rewrites, blah, blah, blah. But again, this money is so minimal. It's tiny, tiny amounts of money. It's not very much. The big money only happens when your movie actually gets made or it's a big hit. A lot of times producers can make a movie, and you can make just a salary that seems like the annual salary of a guy that's like an electrician or something like that. It's not really that much money. Like getting a movie made,
yeah, because I've seen production managers make more than some of the producers.
Yeah, it's really it's kind of a sickness, honestly. But yeah, the only way to make really big bucks, to become Jerry Bruckheimer, is to have a breakout big hit, because it's not necessarily that you made the money off of that big hit, because you might have only made your salary. The movie might have grossed $500 million, but if you were a no-name producer who set that up and agreed to a salary of, say, $125,000 or $250,000 or whatever it is to make that movie, and the movie makes $500 million, you made $250,000. But your next deal is where you try to make the money, right? So, like, hey, I just produced like this giant mega hit movie, right, and I'm going over to Fox and I'm going to ask for $1 million production deal. That's where that comes into play, where the big money is. But a lot of just like, there's a lot of like, working class blue collar producer guys in Hollywood that are out there making very little money pitching small projects, making small projects, getting them made, and just trying to move on to the next project, just like a job.
And if I could quickly respond to Kip as well, you're not getting paid. Sorry, that's my producer. Nice. You're not getting paid.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rough business. I mean, a lot of people think that it's like, oh, it's really great, really fun, and really glamorous. There are aspects of it that are fantastic, and I will say, as a producer, the best part of the whole job was always working with great writers. I worked with a lot of fantastic writers that are now working. I see their credits, when I'm watching movies on Netflix or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I worked with that guy. I worked with that guy. I did a spec with that guy. I mean, that is the best part, is working with some of these guys that are up and coming young writers, that you get their first spec script that was sent out when he was 23 years old, and you read it and you're like, oh my God, this guy has talent. And it's always, to me, that the tough part is, the sad part is, a lot of those guys, some of their best work never got made. I mean, the studios and the people, the tastemakers and the kingmakers in Hollywood, that some of the stuff that we'd send them, they go, we really like this part, but not this part. And we're like, but that's the best fucking part of the script. Like, why, you know what I mean? It's like, this is the innovative shit. You don't like that, but you like this, that he has a dog, or whatever, some stupid crap, because they always go to their marketing. They don't, the story, to them, good story is super formulaic. They're like, this is not a good story. Why? Well, it's not a 3-act story. It's like, okay.
Hey, I want to go over to the chat, and Mr. Tickle Trunk mentioned a bit ago, what Mark said is indeed smart about that. People see that as putting yourself on sale. You're not worth as much after that.
No, you're attaching a dollar to your soul.
And there was a lot of shitting on of the Nerdist, because I used to like the Nerdist when it first started.
Oh yeah,
and
everybody did.
And I always, Chris is one of those guys that I half like and half fucking want to punch in the junk, because he talks over his guests when he's doing his shows, and it annoys me. He gets too excited is his problem. But he started the Nerdist, and I thought it was a great project. But then it got sold, and he's out, and all they hire are these pretty people. So CJ points out, Nerdist gives off a lot of incorrect info on comics. None of them actually read comics. They're all attractive-looking people. None of them are actual nerds. To which I responded, here we go, I'm not an actual nerd, but I play one on TV. And the way to get around that is to say, and he's talking about your show, is Scott's, the show is Scott's, and Mark is the guest who does it for free, if you were to do an Indiegogo or Kickstarter campaign. So that was his suggestion. Then he said, Nerdist is a blind aggregator that just hires talent. Yep, that's too true. Zax7 says, I heard Reading Rainbow has some Kickstarter money lying around.
Yeah.
Well, you can always go for that consequence culture reparations,
Oh my God. Every collector, Martin Acosta Santana, ¿Qué tal, mi amigo? Every collector has a story behind each one of our pieces, ranging from, quote, I casually found it at a random store and it's not a big deal, end quote, to, quote, I have to tell you how I got this, end quote. And it's true. Because I got a first edition poetry book of the guy who wrote Les Miserables. Forget his name right now. But it was leather bound. Wow. And it was first edition. And it was so destroyed, I'll never be able to sell it. It just sits in a sealed bag for the rest of its existence. Let's see. Man, that works like a gaming industry. An artist coder only gets a raise by using their last job and portfolio as leverage for a new higher contract. Networking helps a lot too. Yeah, that's what killed my design career, because after the layoffs came in '09, I couldn't find work for several years. And finally, by the time I was able to start going into interviews, they're like, well, you haven't worked in several years, so what are you doing now? And I'm like, oh man, fuck you guys. I walked out, and that's why I'm stuck freelancing the rest of my life. But Scott, if your house is on fire, what are the 2 pieces you grab before running out the door?
My pearls.
Man, that's so tough.
If you have kids, it would be nice to mention it now.
Yeah, my kids are all adults, and so I would definitely leave them here.
Well, no, that's not true. No, if the kid,
save yourself.
no, not even that. You tell the kids to grab as much as they can, and you take what you can in a handful.
Boom.
You
Yeah,
go
why else
in.
did you have them?
Yeah.
And this, of course, comes from a guy with no kids. Awesome. I like that, Steve. I like the way you think.
Thank you.
I'm gonna. This is a bizarre one, but I'm gonna grab the alien. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the 18-inch Kenner Alien in the blue box. But I love that freaking toy.
Is that the Hoth play set up there?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's look at the Alien just real quick.
I would just jump in that X-wing and fill up the cockpit and get the hell out of there.
There's Alien.
Oh my God, I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
my buddy Bennett Sumner got one of those.
It's just a tough toy to find in the box. And so, I have a lot of like really great toys, but that Alien toy, man. And I have a great story, because I got it off of Craigslist. So the story, goes along with the toy, sometimes, and it makes it more special, I guess.
Do you have like a go bag with like, certain collectibles? Like, just saying, it's an idea that you want to take. Have a go bag with like the ones that you want to take, and that way, if something happens, you just grab it and you can run out the house and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, there's too much. I honestly would die in the fire. If someone said, go down there and get your one thing, and I just end up dying.
There you go. Keith, our co-host here, how about a celebrity nerd collection show? Sam Witwer, Joe Manganiello. Oh, I can't pronounce that dude's name.
Manganiello.
Fuck you.
The guy from True Blood.
Did you say Mangina? I would not. You'd have to pay me to have Will Wheaton on. Henry Cavill would be great. Are great examples of guests or potential hosts if Mark doesn't want to do it. He's right. But I wouldn't do it with Will Wheaton.
Fuck Will Wheaton.
Hello, Will.
We definitely have had conversations about having celebrities part of this.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone wants to start an email campaign, they can email Shout Factory, the company that does a lot of really great DVD releases. And they're also doing the Mystery Science Theater 3000 revival. They have expressed interest.
They've already reached their first goal.
Good.
They're on to their third goal. Because I've already contributed. I contributed to the first one, and I'm a big fan of that show. Even though I felt the Netflix show was nowhere near as funny as their original stuff, and I don't like the voice actors.
Yeah, it was, the original was better, but
it's like hiring people that don't sound anything like the original Muppet. Just
it only bothers
a lot of people.
Phil Corbett has a tenor to his voice, and you find somebody else doing. And Crow doesn't even sound like Crow anymore.
Again, this only bothers old people. I only know it from Netflix.
Only bothers old people.
I'm sorry, we brought someone on with no taste.
Oh God.
Well, those guys anyway. Shout Factory, the guys that are involved in the revival, have approached us and said, "Hey, can we do more Pop Culture Quest?" So we're talking to them now. So hopefully, I'm assuming that their campaign, it sounds great that they've met their first goal.
Well, you were supposed to get me to do artwork for you. You better fucking get me to do the artwork for you.
Yeah, well, we need a DVD release, obviously, with a new cover.
Well, fuck.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ. We're friends.
Yeah, and I just want 2 or 3 strands of Mark Hamill's hair. Like, it's not asking much.
Oh,
I can
and by the way,
I have some of his beard hair.
Do you really?
That is.
I'm afraid to ask where it is.
I'm guessing in like a jar.
Because Six was wanting to know wanted to know, what does Mark Hamill smell like?
I didn't
Carrie
smell
Fisher.
him.
Real quick, I do have a real question that somebody asked me to ask. They wanted to know if Mark Hamill does a lot of voices, like when you're just, hanging out, like when you're just hanging out with him, does he just pops into different voices?
Yes.
So,
He'll do them on demand.
Oh, on demand too?
Yes.
So he goes full Robin Williams pretty much.
He loves it. Mark, he wants to be Laurel and Hardy. He loves all of that old school Hollywood comedy stuff. He's an obsessive, collector of just like voiceover talent, tapes, like outtakes and stuff. Like he loves old comedy. And so
does he like old radio too?
Yes. So Mark, honestly, I think if you asked him and said, "Hey, I'll give you any amount of money, you can do anything that you want to," he'd go, "Oh, I'm going to do a variety show," and have a bunch of like dancers and comedians on and stuff like that, like the stuff that we grew up on in the 60s and the 70s. Like he's totally into that, and so I think, honestly, I'd love to see him do more comedy. But he does Harrison Ford all the time.
I hear it. I've heard him do it.
He does a great
spot on. It is.
He's doing it now. I guess he's doing it for, what is it? Bad lip reading? The YouTube channel.
Oh, is he doing it?
Is he doing something with that?
Yeah, he's doing the Harrison Ford on those.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Martin Acosta Santana, Mr. Kinney, could you please tell us one of the stories behind your collection that is, in your eyes, the best story of all?
And can I have it?
Collection. Let's see. Man, there are a lot of stories in here. Okay, I'll tell you one. I went to a hoarder house one time, and it was a very bizarre experience because I was talking to a couple friends of mine. One of the friends was R.A. Jones, who's a comic book writer. Did some stuff in the 80s for Marvel and also comics. What was that? Comic Scene magazine?
Yeah.
Probably.
Was that like Wizard?
No, I think it was Comic Scene magazine.
Yeah, where they had comic book. R.A. used to do comic book reviews.
I remember that.
Yeah, and so anyway, I was talking to R.A. about comic books, of course, and I've known him since I was a little kid. I've known R.A. since I was like 12 years old or something. And this lady next to me was, lit over, she couldn't help it. She was standing there. She was security for some building. She goes, "I've got a bunch of action figures and toys." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And she goes, "Yes, I have $6 Million Man," and blah, blah, blah. And started listing all this stuff. And I was like, "Oh, wow." And she goes, "Yeah, I want to sell them." And I was like, "Okay, well, I want to buy them." So we made arrangements, and I went to her home. And it turned out it wasn't her home. Her mother had recently passed away.
Oh.
And her house was full of this stuff. And her mother was a hoarder, a real legit, like you see on TV show hoarder, with like, the stacks of boxes in the hallway and in all the rooms and stuff. Like you just have a little pass through everything. And I was like, "Oh, great, fantastic." And I started digging in these boxes, and they were full of toys. But at the same time, everything smelled really bad because it was a hoarder house. The thing, about hoarders is they keep everything, including trash too. and they'll keep things. I consider I jokingly call myself a hoarder, but I
You're a clean
I
hoarder.
hoard stuff, but I don't hoard. I mean, I have. I'm going to say I have trash in my collection because I do. I have trash, but it's not dirty trash. So I was getting eaten up by bugs. They had no air conditioning, and I went through all these boxes and had to clean everything, disinfect everything. But it was an amazing haul, and so there's many pieces in my collection that I got out of there, that I had, obviously I had to clean or whatever. But as a collector, I'm willing to do things like that. I'll go into an attic. I'll go into a dirty store.
God bless you, Scott. I'd never do it.
Yeah.
My fear of recluses here in Missouri in particular really keeps me from basements and attics. But hey, I wanted to go back to the chat.
Black widows, recluses, all that stuff. Yeah.
Zax wants to know, Scott, what is your address, and when will you be out of town?
I get that often.
Mr. Tickle Trunks. Oh yeah, we're talking about that stuff. There's got to be some more questions here. I'd be so overwhelmed I'd have a nervous breakdown.
No telling what that's in reference to.
Hoarders don't dust. I bet you dust those nerd bits.
Yeah, I do. I do an annual dusting.
You do it in a clockwise or a counterclockwise?
Which shows you're a nerd, not a hoarder.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, like, did you ever consider doing the Quest show as like an American picker, where you try and negotiate with these collectors? But then I was like, no, that would get way too expensive, because on American Picker, like they, you know what I mean? Like they're negotiating for stuff like the guy doesn't really even know if he wants it or not, It's like $10-15, but like for that world, it's going to be, when it could be a hell of a lot more money.
Yeah,
Mardigan, that is great question. That is a great idea. That right there. Yes.
Well, we pitched that initially because when we first started pitching the show, we pitched it as American Pickers with nerd stuff.
Yeah.
And
did you ever go to the History Channel?
Why don't you just call it Nerd Pickers?
Yeah, nerd Pickers. We did literally pitch it like that, and then at some point, Mark was like, "I don't want to be the jackass. I just don't want to be that guy." And I was like, "Okay,
wait.
I get it." He's like, They all know I'm a millionaire. Why are you offering me 20 when it's worth 40? You know what I mean? And he was like, "I just don't want to do that." Those guys are in business. That's how they make their living. He said people will look at me as like a vulture if I. And I agreed. I was like, "Yeah, we should."
Yeah, I could see the problem with that.
Wait, Scott. I hadn't. Then why haven't you thought about doing this instead of like it being like lowballing? Will it just be like be on the pretense? Mark Hamill wants to buy your stuff.
Yeah, and we did again. We discussed the idea of evaluating and giving people prices, but that in particular does date the show and makes it irrelevant pretty quick. Like anytime that you like on American Pickers, it's not about them giving you the price or the value. The focus is how much did they make?
Yeah.
How much did they profit? That's the win. And so you have to understand the concept of of American Picker show. It falls into this bucket of found treasure, and people like found treasure type shows because they think in their attic that they might have a painting or a vase that's worth a bunch, or a comic book that's worth a lot of money. And shows like that are wish fulfillment. So they watch the show and they go, "Oh, don't we have one of those? Or didn't we have this? Isn't that worth like $2,000 now or whatever?" So there's an element of that. So we ended up stripping all that out of the show and focusing on history of the collectible type thing, more so that you could watch the show 10 years later and it was more about the collectibles.
That makes sense. You don't want, Luke Skywalker to come off kind of an ass, like, you know what I mean? Like some old lady. Like,
what's funny is Mark did like in the 90s, he did like Home Shopping Network specials and stuff, which is a big come down, but he did it, because again, he was like, oh, we're going to be selling Star Wars collectibles. Yeah, that kind of sounds like fun. Like literally, but Home Shopping Network or people like that would pay him to come on the network and hawk like exclusive Star Wars figures or what.
Hey Gerry, can you pick a smaller fucking chat? Because I was going to show him
I'm waiting to read it. I don't want to interrupt.
Because I found treasure while I was.
Let's read this and get it out of the way because they're stacking up over in the chat.
I can't see it.
When did you start collecting? How discerning are you with items? Is the decision about how much room you have or if it fits?
Yeah, all of that comes into play. I like I said, I started in the early 90s when I got out of college collecting again, and I was very poor. And over the decades, my collection has waxed and waned where I've had to sell things just because I needed money. And so I've had my collection amassed to like large, degrees and then sold a bunch of it and then started over a few years later. You're putting a kid through school or you're putting him in braces. Oh, I need $2,000. Well, here you go. I'll sell all this crap and get the kid her, braces, and then you start collecting. If you're a collector, you just start collecting again. I assume that I'm going to sell some of the stuff in my collection around me someday because I might need the money. It's as an investment, my collectibles have always been a good investment. They've always held their value or increased in value, and I can get money out of the things when I need it. But I don't want to. My goal is never to sell, but I do, and I do. Back to the question, weed out my collection from time to time when I notice things are getting in boxes and not in the room where anyone can see them. Then eventually I'll sell it because if it's not important enough to display, then you don't want to look at it enough.
Right.
And that's part of the collection to me is looking at it. I display it because I like to come down and literally look at it. I like these items. They're not status symbols for me. They're art. I enjoy them. They give me pleasure.
Yeah, I get that. CJ, it's not a question, but more of a statement. Most of my collection is newer stuff, and if you start doing new stuff, don't do G.I. Joe Classified. It's too late for me. I'm deep in, but save yourself. Mr. Tickle Trunk, is Scott a completionist with collections, or is it about each singular item? I've never collected, so it's all alien to me. But I am a nerd, so I have a million questions about specifics.
Yeah, I did mention earlier the Shogun Warriors collection is the only collection I'm actively trying to complete everything. Star Wars, I had initially, when I started recollecting my childhood Star Wars stuff, people don't realize that Star Wars is one of the most heavily marketed and merchandised film franchises of all time, even the original trilogy. It's almost impossible to collect every Star Wars toy that was ever released. I gave it up. I can't afford it. I don't have the space. I love Star Wars toys. I love them, but it's overwhelming. So I just gave it. So I went with Shogun Warriors, which was another childhood favorite of mine, but it's a finite line. It didn't go on and on and on. It just came out for like 2 or 3 years, and Star Wars went like I said from the first toys that came out in late 77 to early 78 to up till 1985. it's a ton, and it's
I feel like now, like with as far as the Disney trilogy, like it'll be easy to complete it because there's only like 3 or 4 that they put out. Because
the whole collection, you can only get Rose Ticos now. That's pretty much it. So if you got Rose Ticos and Galaxy Edge Sports.
I go to Walmart on a regular basis, and I always check to see what new Star Wars stuff is. It's just garbage. Hey, I want to welcome Kate to the show. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
And she's a big nerd. Before we move on, in the chat again, Zach7, who is a potential burglar for your house. So make sure to put cameras in there. Okay?
Yeah.
Found treasure shows are fun, but I watch for the history, and I agree with you. I do the same thing. CJ, also Nika, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, unless you're rich, but totally do Star Wars Black. It isn't super hard. Thanks for being racist, CJ. Mr. Tickle Drunk at Pop Culture Minefield. Gerry, if you're afraid of spiders, just use a nice cleansing flamethrower before you go into the basements. I'm here to help. Yep. Thanks, Mr. Tickle Drunk. I got to tell you something. I actually conquered my phobia. My daughter loves to tell this story because I began to capture recluse spiders and black widows and putting them on a terrarium on my desk. This is called immersion therapy. And I would touch the terrarium with these deadly spiders in them. And then eventually I would take the top off and put a pencil down there and touch them with the eraser. Till eventually I reached down with my finger and I would touch the back of the spiders.
And that's how most women touched his balls. It's the same story.
It's true. It's true.
Dude,
but
that is the whitest thing I've ever heard.
I now do not panic when I see, because in the Army, I had a really embarrassing episode. We were setting up claymores, and I jumped over the log pile that you're supposed to jump back and do the click, click, click. And I landed in there. It looked like a 500-pound black widow. It was so close to my face that I threw the charging handle and kicked backwards and squealed apparently like a little girl.
I believe it.
I did this right in front of everybody in my squad, and I'm the guy in charge. And it was really bad. And I had to defeat and conquer my phobia. And I do now. And it's so good now that when there's a spider in this house, recluses mostly, I'm the one that has to kill them. And it's fun because I hate
Gerry, there's a middle ground there from being just like, I don't care about death, I'm touching spider, and just being like completely scared. You know what I mean? Like there's a middle part there. Like,
can you find a bigger chat to cover him again?
Like, look, I just had to kill something earlier. So this here, right, is for flies and bugs and everything.
Oh, I love those.
Huge salt. It's the funnest thing I ever get. Like I get excited like I am excited for the summer. I let bugs into the house. My girlfriend does not care.
That's fucking cool. I have one of those extension grabbers. I put
I can beat that.
I put 2-sided tape on them if the spider is way up in a corner. Oh wait, hold on. Let me drop this. What is that?
Wow.
It's a Nerf sword.
Oh.
I used to kill spiders because I'm a dork.
Well, I use that extension. I put tape on it so the spiders can't get away. They get stuck in the tape. And that's one of my ways of doing it. But anyway, let's see. What is about older items that gets you? Nostalgia? I think that with companies like Hot Toys getting realistic-looking figures would be the way to go today. The problem with Hot Toys and so many of those companies is the price is now 5 times what it would have been when we were younger. And I'm not even talking about the economy and the devaluation of the dollar. I'm talking about they're charging high dollar for these items, and it makes it harder to collect them or to want to collect them.
3D printing.
But they're amazing figures at Hot Toys.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, I didn't name it Star Wars Black. All right, CJ.
Yeah, but you keep saying it.
If the spider's deadly, maybe it's healthy fear.
Yes,
no,
it is.
Really not.
Yeah,
it's easier to collect the Black Wars Star series than the other one.
I was so bad in the 80s that I almost had an accident because a grasshopper landed on my leg in a car.
Oh, okay. See that one?
Yeah,
I
so
can't.
What?
No,
I don't even want to get into it. Shut up,
You're
Steven.
losing masculinity with me every moment you share one of these stories.
What do you mean you were in
Makes
the
you
army?
feel better. I once shot
Like
a guy
every
with an arrow
every
in-
kung fu movie, they go, "Listen here, young grasshopper, grasshopper, where?
So just to help out here,
You're
I
a dick.
once stuck a guy to a window with an arrow. So
Still a
shut the
dick.
fuck up.
Did he have a grasshopper on him? What was the cause? What?
Oh, jeez. I
Like,
can't
quick,
do bugs. I can't.
You dick.
Quick! Oh no,
Even
Bill! You have
no.
a moth on your shoulder.
Stop.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I am a dick, by the way, Scott. You know that.
He's a dick hopper. That's what he is. A fucking dick hopper.
That's really gay.
Oh, that was my nickname in college.
Oh,
Something you wanna.
Hey,
know.
Gay till
Wait,
That's
hold on.
graduation.
very true, Mr.
Was your
Chipper.
motto "Keep the line moving"?
Oh,
No,
see, now Martin
it's
Acosta
hunting.
Santana knows what I'm talking about. Don't kill. No, I never killed any of the spiders I collected.
His daughter
They
did.
killed each other.
Oh, lovely.
Because especially recluses are very territorial. And the most interesting
Someone
one
in a
was
cage and
the
watch 'em
black
fight.
widow was high in the terrarium, and the recluses were down low because they don't make webs. They live in corners and hide behind your molding. And
Oh, God.
well, this recluse decided to go to war with the Black Widow, and Black Widow won, kicked its fucking ass, and the recluse was twice its size. It was an amazing fight to the death. I did not intend it; it just happened.
Did
I
you
did
play?
not
Did you play the TOS song when Spock and Kirk were fighting?
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do it.
By the way, they have nothing on
let's
camel
see.
spiders, for the record.
It's more dorky if you shout a movie one-liner while you kill spiders with a sword. It is true. It is true.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
I have said many a time, stick around.
I would have been like thunder, smack, thundercat. Oh,
Oh, see, because I have the salt gun, so I always say it's just been revoked, and they're like, "What? I don't have them."
Gun, yeah.
Lethal
It's a
weapon.
legit
Yeah.
assault gun.
It doesn't really work when the other person doesn't say that they have diplomatic immunity.
or I would have been like, "This is my
welcome to the
badge.
show, Natasha.
This is my
She's
gun."
one of our mods. 6 is one of our normal mods because Natasha's in Europe. So
Mhm.
she's on a different time zone, but it's nice to see you, Natasha.
The best
Um,
line to kill bugs is Lilu Dallas multi pass. It's 4 strikes, very simple, very clean.
What is that game thing with the controller? The left, right, up, up. Yell that one.
That's Street
Contra,
Fighter.
that's the
That's
Contra
Street Fighter.
code. No, it's not.
That's
It's
Street
the Contra.
Fighter.
This
No,
is what happens,
up,
Scott.
down, down,
Up,
left,
up,
right,
down,
left,
down,
right,
left, right,
BA.
derailed by
BA, start,
or
select.
ADD.
That's Contra.
It's also Street Fighter, so both players can choose the same character.
Kenobi didn't make Street Fighter, did they? Because it's the
Capcom
Kenobi
did.
code. That's the
Anyway,
Kenobi code.
Scott, your house is really pretty.
It is very pretty.
It is. Like, and
Oh,
I'm an interior designer, so I can say that professionally.
By the way, if you're interested of adding to your collection, I found this a while ago while I was looking. This is a legit 1991 Yo MTV Raps trading card with the MC Hammer.
Oh my
Right there.
God.
See that?
I like that.
He is too legit to quit.
He's
I also
too
have
legit to quit. That's right.
Vanilla Ice.
He's
Wow.
so white you can't even see him.
Yeah, that is true. He is very
Yeah,
right.
he's blown out.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, and I have like those Prince of Thieves cards as well with
Oh wait,
Okay,
hold on. Let me
so-
enlarge that one.
Oh.
The issue, the big issue value wise,
mullet.
all these cards
They're ruined.
is
yeah, of
are
course.
they first appearance cards? Are they the rookie cards? of
Oh,
the-
yep.
I
That's
don't
true.
think I don't think they kept up with that with Yo MTV rap cards. I don't think that
Probably
was their
not.
big.
I know.
What about the original Return of the Jedi soundtrack on vinyl?
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Mad Mardigan, a message for you on the screen.
Yeah, you just put your greasy fingers all over him.
They've
Right?
been in a pocket of a backpack for I don't know how long. Like
How
Was it your
13-year-old of you?
I hook them up to like my bike and stuff, like on the wheel.
Oh, yep.
They're fine. They work. They're good.
By the way, Mad Mardigan will appreciate this. Saw a camel spider on a friend of mine, And for a second, I contemplated shooting it off of his chest.
Yeah, no, I think you would be. That's a
Why,
justified.
whoa! Can we get that
decision.
clip, please? That Gerry just wanted to shoot it off his chest.
Look, you can hear them running on
Yeah,
the
they're so
concrete.
fucking loud. They're
They're-
horrifying, dude. They're
It's like
horrifying.
a face hugger.
Yeah. I
Shit.
finally I smashed it into his chest with my boot.
You're such a good friend. What?
It knocked the wind out of him.
I hope I never have a bug on me around you. Like you're shooting arrows at people with moths on them, and like.
Scott, this is what happens. This is what happens on the show. We derail for a little bit, and then we come back.
So, Scott, what are your feelings on bugs?
Grasshopper. Where?
I guess I'm okay with bugs. I guess I am. I grew up in Oklahoma, so I just felt like I was immersed in bugs.
You're in
tornadoes.
You're in the area of Colorado, right?
I live in Colorado, and there's
Yeah.
no bugs here.
Yeah, it's like I lived there, and all we had was rain. That was it,
Yeah.
and some grasshoppers. But
Yeah. I love not having mosquitoes and ticks and all that
Mhm.
stuff.
yeah. But are you planning anything coming up? Because I know at one point you were going to try to do a convention.
I'm doing not conventions. I'm doing a series of toy and comic shows. They're not conventions because I've put on conventions, and to me a convention has panels and a
Mhm.
game room and movie rooms and all this
Right.
kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm again, this is all very personal, but the shows I'm doing are the kind of shows that I want to go to. Yes, I love Comic Cons. Like I said, I was raised going. I started going to Comic Cons in 1980 as a little kid. I've been to a bazillion panels and done all that stuff. I have worked at cons. I've been a volunteer for years and years, and I love that world. But the thing that always, once I started collecting, that annoyed me was that cons are typically expensive, to get in the door. Like you pay, in today's prices, $45, $50, $60 to get in, and that's it. You're just getting in,
Mhm.
and I'm there to shop. So I've already paid $50 to get in just to shop on the floor. So I thought, well, what if I just made the thing that I like the most about cons into a show, where it's a show floor that's full of stuff that I like, comic books, toys, et cetera, et cetera.
Funko
So
Pops.
yeah, so I just thought I'll just make a collector show, and I'm going to have guests, and I already have like my Plano show upcoming in Plano, Texas, July 23 and 24. I've got some Star Wars guests, and I've got an Artist Alley. I've got some Artist Alley guests and things like that. But I'm not trying to price up the cost of participating so much that people have to pay a bunch of money to get in just to shop. I'm trying to avoid that. And cons pass on all of the fees of these celebrities and stars to you at the door, but you don't even get their autograph, right? So if William Shatner's there, I'm paying $40 because William Shatner's there, but I'm not even getting his autograph for that. I have to pay an additional $95. But they're charging me like I'm meeting him, but I can't even take his photo with my phone. Like, no, can't take any photos. You know what I mean? But they're charging you for that. So I'm like, well, how can I? Let's avoid that. So the way I'm working with the guests is, you make your money selling your autograph, not me. If you want to come do the show because you can sell your autograph, fine. I'm not charging people to get in the show to see you. It doesn't make any sense, because if they pull out their phone in front of you, people freak out. Like, don't take a photo. It's like, okay, but I paid $50. I can't even take a snapshot of the guy sitting at his table. So I'm just trying to re-engineer that a little bit
Mm-hmm.
from a collector's perspective. So I did one in New Braunfels, Texas about a month ago. It was a huge success. I mean, during COVID, I had a packed room. The fire marshal probably would have shut us down. It was packed. And then I'm doing one in Dripping Springs, Texas, Saturday, May 15th. And then I'm doing one in Plano, Texas, July 23 and 24. And then I'm doing the same thing in several different cities, but I've got one planned for Springfield, Missouri, September 11th and 12th, which is the same concept. It's really more about the collectibles and stuff. I'm going to have some guests there, local artists, of course. I'll bring those guys in because I love having local artists in. But I probably won't spend a bunch of money to bring any like big celebrities or anything.
I bet you $10 Scott forgets you and me on this case.
I'll be on your show. I am fan Steven Seagal.
I wish I would have known that you were in New Braunfels. Like, that's an hour away from me. I would have showed up. And
Dripping Springs, May 15th. It's right up the road. It's 20 minutes west of Austin.
Okay,
well, Scott's on Twitter. You can follow him on there and
I
stay
think
in contact with him.
Or I was going
Scott.
to.
I won't forget about you guys. Obviously, in Springfield, I'd love to have you there. To me, the local artists, when you do cons and shows like that, are the lifeblood of the show. Like I said, when Gerry and I were sitting there talking to each other, filling in the hours, those are the people that you want to end up hanging around with and talking with. The people that are actually doing it, making comics, living comics, talking comics. When that's your thing, when that's what you're into, celebrities and all those guys that make, conventions so big today, you don't get to talk to them. You don't get to hang out with them. Unless you're, part of the staff or crew or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Or you make friends with people who are part of the staff.
Scott, I had something to bring up because Keith has actually talked about this a lot. Instead of focusing on just the celebrities, you remember he brings up the underground floor with all the artists that started everything that no one really comes down and talk to, like the memorial / the graveyard in a way. Why not focus on bringing those types and to give them the spotlight so they can share their stories, their artwork, not the celebrities that are now what everyone's seeing in like the mainstream of heroes and comics.
You know what? I can answer that. I can answer that. A lot of these older comic book guys, it'd be great to see them.
Yeah.
But the problem you're going to run into is many of these guys have health problems, health issues. As they get older, it gets harder and harder for them to get out and get around. While I'm down with seeing them, you also have to take that into consideration, their own health issues, transportation. My thing would be to find one or two people that you can bring in and highlight them at a show rather than try to,
But okay, I agree with that. I wasn't trying to disassociate that, but that is a good thing too. But what you could also try to do is try doing an online one.
Mm-hmm.
Have them share their stories or a bunch of stories, and each artist gets like half an hour to just talk about why they did this character, why they did this line, how successful it was for them, what put themselves are in that character, and just you can do it that way. They even just do a recording and make it like an episode, a con.
Ooh, yeah.
The way DC Fandom does their crap. You can do something like that, like Gem City Comic Con, especially. I know someone who actually works with them, and like you could probably set something up and try to work something together. Like, I think a lot of the artists that we're not going to get to know much longer, and not to trample on the graves to come, is that I think they need a voice or at least one loud shout so people can get an understanding that there was more history than seeing Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. or the way things are going now. We need the history to stay alive. Like we have monuments for statues in historical references. And Keith, you bring that up all the time. You want them to be known, and I think we have a way of doing that.
Yeah, Alan Bellman was nice to meet that man, and considering
that was the gentleman at VisionCon, right?
Yeah, he predates Marvel because he was just amazing to just hang with, and
I commissioned him for a piece.
Yeah, again, it's That is a good idea, to try to find as many people as possible to be able to do that, and even maybe auction off some original drawings. I would have loved to have met Joe Simon before he passed.
Even getting them, if you can help them set it up, because some of them draw, right? What you do is you do a recording of them how to draw this character back in.
Are you liking these ideas, Scott?
Yes.
Seriously, you could literally have them where they don't even have to show their face. They can just talk, and you can have an episode of what I used to do to draw this character, how I drew this character. And not only are you showing the respect of the history of the character's like origin in the art, you're showing future generations how to apply themselves to continue that art.
And you could have a YouTube channel, Scott, in the interim, just to talk about the stuff that you do collect, and we'll help you produce it.
You can even come on my show, my channel, whatever the hell you want, man.
Don't go on this show. Don't go.
One thing,
I don't know how you feel about after-school specials, but
I do have a point. I think there's an interesting way people could kind of merge what you're planning to do and what Steven's talking about is remotes, like old radio remotes. Because inevitably, people are going to want to actually interact with one another again in person. And for circumstances in which that's not going to be available for everyone, remotes are absolutely the way to do it. So it's this kind of setup, how we're talking to each other right now, but next to each other, and doing things that way, down a hallway in a whatever venue. And it's, bouncing booth to booth. It's very similar. And it's connecting a greater audience and kind of merging these two worlds together. It's something that exists and has forever, but using it in a casual atmosphere instead of the corporate radio atmosphere would be very interesting.
Hey, Mr. Tickletrunk has a question for you. What kind of crap do you watch, and how much of it is YouTube versus TV streaming?
I do watch collecting shows a lot. One of the shows that I enjoy on YouTube is called The Game Chasers, and it's a bunch of guys that go out and chase retro video games. They buy them at flea markets and
I think CJ brought that up earlier in the chat. I think it was CJ.
Yeah.
But
they're based in kind of the Dallas Arlington area, and I started watching those guys somewhere around 2012 or someplace around there, and it was they started doing it at about the same time. Again, American Pickers came on, but they were doing it with video games. But the difference is that because they're not a big Hollywood production, they just film whatever happens. So if they find nothing, they film
that's the episode.
They make a show out of that. Like we found nothing. That's the thing that is so disingenuous about the Hollywood shows is you can't do that. You can't go find nothing. You can't do it. So I fell in love with the concept of just like, hey, this is like really what it's all about. If you're a collector and you're trying to find this stuff that you collect, a lot of times the misadventure is a lot of fun, and it becomes about the camaraderie and your friends and you guys hanging out and having these conversations and meeting, weird people and stuff like that. So over time, when you and I've been watching them now for like a decade, I've come to appreciate, them, just being them on camera. And I'm actually producing their feature film, which we're almost done with. It was we raised the funds on Kickstarter, and we filmed it right before COVID happened in 2019, and then COVID shut us down. And so we've been gradually doing our pickups and reshoots and stuff since things have been opening up here and there. So we're getting closer to finishing that film. But those guys wanted to tell their origin story since the movie was funded by their fans. why did we start collecting and who are we? And so the story goes back to them as like 11-year-olds, 10 and 11-year-olds, which is kind of fun. I
might know somebody that can do the poster for that.
I can't draw that well.
Yeah,
don't promise him that.
we know Graham
Oh,
Nolan.
okay.
We can always get Graham Nolan to do the poster.
I mean, I'll do it if you want stick figures. I'm your guy. And a cat. I can do a pretty good cat. Well, not good like compared to anyone else's cat, but as compared, relative.
Gary,
Yeah,
you're
you know what's
muted.
embarrassing, Gary? You're muted. No one heard shit you just
I'm
said.
muted because I'm terrified that my wife's gonna siren will go off when she leaves the room.
But real quick, have you ever seen
But
storage
I'm
wars?
the
How do you
only
feel about
artist you
that?
hire.
How do you feel about storage wars? Have you ever tried doing something like that, like going and doing the bidding on like the little storage things? People don't pay, and
I've been to them. Yeah, I've bought at storage units like auctions, but I worked with the guys on Mark Hamill's Pop Culture Quest who did Storage Wars.
Oh, cool.
It was the production company. Yeah,
Cool.
Okay, I can keep going. Then, so
okay,
you're really not
no.
interested in the MTV Rap cards? Like, do you know who? Go ahead. Sorry.
What's your price on them?
Oh man,
What's
like
the price?
I don't know. I actually I'm more interested in trading for a certain phone number that people have been asking for. No, I'm kidding, dude. I wouldn't even know what to do with this number. Like, what am I going to say to him?
Are we talking about Mark's number?
Yeah.
I should call him right now. I should just call him right now, just like really piss him off. Say, hey, Mark, I'm really trying to impress some people on a podcast right now. He'd be like, "Oh, fuck you." He really would. He'd be so upset about that.
Dude,
I've called him times, and he's literally answered the phone and said, "What is it, Scott?"
Aww.
Because I always have like these harebrained ideas about things that I think Mark will be really excited about. But at least he still answers the phone. He hasn't not answered the phone yet, but he's got to the point where it's like, okay, what is it now?
You should just call him and just say these exact words. A bunch of the people in the chat on the show I'm doing want your phone number. Is it okay?
Oh, God. Well, if he's smart, he'd give a very specific answer, and then only half the chat would get it, and the other half probably too young.
You're doing it wrong. You'd be like, "Hey, Mark, do you mind if we set up a GoFundMe and we reach a certain point, we just give out your phone number to everybody?"
Oh, God.
Yeah,
that's one of the perks is they get the phone call.
Yeah, the Kickstarter. If we can raise $1, everyone gets Mark Hamill's phone number.
Yeah, get a burner phone, Mark.
No, but that is cool that he still answers your phone call, because I know, like I always do the same thing. I'll have an idea for something, and I'll spit it, I'll tell somebody, and sometimes they just stop talking to me after a while because they just don't want to listen to it. But that's cool
Yeah, Tickle Trunk has a good answer for if he gets mad at you, just blame me.
Yeah,
and say my name,
or he'll just kick you out of the chat 4 to 10 to 15 fucking times.
I'll be honest, I didn't know you weren't here. Like, I don't know how long you were gone.
Don't be a dick about
I'm not. I was being honest. Like, I had no idea he wasn't here anymore. How long were you gone?
Yeah, it's like he wasn't gone that long. He just went over into the chat because
he kicked me 15 times.
I kicked him 3 times. Well,
15 times.
If you know what you're doing, Gary, you only have to do it once.
I just like fucking with Steven because Yeti's not here for me to fuck with, and so now I have to fuck with Steven. So
fuck with Matt. He's in a wheelchair. He can't get away.
You keep making this joke, but I don't think you know what wheelchairs are.
The joke is that you guys don't get to promote your art. It's my fucking show with
we promote our art. We promoted Graham Nolan's art. That's a
I don't have any art to promote.
See you later.
I wonder why I changed my name to Muscle Boosie now.
I'm friends with Graham Nolan, and if you ever want Graham to do something for you, he'll charge you an arm and a leg, but he'll do it.
Just like these nipples.
Because that guy's like money,
Who is that? I don't know who Graham Nolan is.
He created Bane with Chuck Wendy.
Jesus Christ!
All right, cool. Who's Chuck Wendy?
Fucking heathen! I swear to God,
Oh.
why are you with us here?
You invited him.
I've always said that you guys overestimate my nerdness. Like,
He's trying to sell rap cards to Scott here, for God's sake.
But anyway,
By the way, would you
Scott,
like to buy some Garbage Pail original stickers? I have those somewhere still lying around.
oh, Kaylee has joined the chat. Hi, Kaylee. She's a sweetheart. We all follow her over on Twitter. She's so nice that whenever she posts, because she's very pro Gina Carano, and she gets a lot of hate from these anti Gina Carano types. And she's got too big a heart, so she really does take it to heart when they say stuff to her, and it's like, whereas we jump in and go, fuck those guys.
Matt, it would have been funnier if you wrote, I got to get rolling soon. That would have been a lot funnier if you put that in the chat.
Gary and his abusive powers. Thanks, Socks. CJ, wow, Nolan was on the show. Yep, he was here. He's been on here twice. Because I'm trying to get Chuck on here again because we've had him on, but I want to get Chuck and him on at the same time.
Yeah,
and because I'm assuming that we're going to just shut the fuck up and let those two talk because they'll banter a lot. What is a Stan Lee, Mr. Tickle Drunk ass? And there, for those of you who don't know who Graham Nolan is, like Mad, there's the link. You can go look and learn who the hell he is.
It even has a wheelchair accessible ramp.
Yes, it does. I got to tell you, that's the wonderful thing about Wikipedia. It's wheelchair accessible.
You're a bunch of ableist. No, like
I'm
I stopped
disabled.
reading.
I'm disabled. What the hell are you talking about? Ableist?
You're an ableist. Yeah, it's internalized ableism.
The only thing I'm abling is my middle finger right now.
By the way, nobody can see it. By the way, like I stopped reading comics at Age of Apocalypse. You know what I mean? Like,
I got to tell you, Scott, this show in many ways reminds me of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, where the guest is just sitting there going, "What the fuck is going on?"
Right. That's such a great show.
You kind of asked me questions. You guys are just derailed and just doing all kinds of crazy shit.
Look, hey, I put all of that on the chat. Chat's not asking questions, so like
you called them goblins.
No, I didn't. Not today. Like, pull your weight, chat. Like, what are you doing? Like, participate.
Yes, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Yep, there you go.
Scott, I'd like to officially inform you we are not have any type of monetary value to provide insurance for your therapy. I do apologize for after this stream because we can't afford shit here.
You can do therapy online. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, that's what I want. So I go to Chatterbait for therapy. That's where I go. Yeah,
Chatterbait.
They really help with my
roulette? Is that like chat roulette?
Chat roulette's all dicks.
Yeah.
Chatterbait's much better.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, be careful. Be careful there.
They've been doing. Did you guys hear this? What funny story? Did you guys hear this? That Echo Base has been having some randoms that used to do pop-ins, right? So now they have to actually make sure you're on camera, your face is on camera, because people have been popping up with their avatars and then showing their wiener. And it's been cool.
Oh my god!
What's Echo Base?
Wow.
Echo Base Network.
It's another show that's sort of in our circle of friends.
Yeah, I mean, if you say it, it must be so. Like
That's an interesting thing. Just go to Twitch; it's free there.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I wouldn't let anybody on. I think unless they are willing to have the camera on, except for Steven Seagal.
You don't like my 3D avatar of Steven Seagal, so you let it go. But I had a question for Scott. Do you do anything besides collecting toys? Do you game? Do you do stuff in your like other hobbies?
No.
So you just sit there like Captain Kirk swivel chair going, I have everything now.
No. I honestly, I spend a tremendous amount of time with this shit. But I guess because I like it so much, I'm okay with it. Like I.
Oh, I get that. I totally get that.
I'll spend an afternoon like bagging comics that I bought, and I love it because I'll flip through the comic and read it and put it in the bag. And to me, part of the collecting is looking at the thing, enjoying it, and then then I'll research about it. I'll try and find out information about it or whatever. So because I've made my livelihood collectibles, I put on collectible shows, I sell collectibles. That it's my thing. I've managed to make it my thing. It doesn't make it any less a job. You know, I like it more than I would if I was, because I worked in the advertising industry for other people for 25 years, making their dreams come true, helping them achieve their goals. At a certain point, I thought, no, I just want to do it for myself now. I want to make my things happen. And you know,
Well, I get where you're coming from on that, Scott, because I do the same thing. I only work now when I do comic work with friends. I only do production art for people that I'm close to. You know, I don't want to work with strangers anymore. I refuse to.
Yeah, and you put up with a lot of crap, and as an artist, when you're working for somebody else and trying to make their vision, you know, come to reality, people are incredibly insulting to you, you know, in the process. Like, aren't you any good at this? Like, don't you know how to do this? And it's like, I'm trying to interpret what you're telling me, and I can't. Sometimes it doesn't work. I've walked away from clients and said, I don't understand what you want. I've tried to understand what you want.
Well, this is the problem you run into, and I've run into it because, you know, doing comic books in particular is I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want. And I don't fucking like working with people like that. They make life way too hard.
Yeah.
I'm good with people like that.
Like Kate does design work, interior.
It's different. Design. So it's like, tell me what you don't need.
What Kate is telling you, she's become very good at manipulating people.
No,
yeah.
I'm very good at reading between lines and connecting dots.
Okay.
And so when people, like a good example would be when people say they like Victorian things, what they're really saying is they like Baroque or Rococo thing, and they don't know that's what they're saying because they're just ignorant, and that's fine. That's why I have my job.
Yeah. No,
you have to be mildly telepathic.
To really to be able to listen to people and to interpret and to give them what they want. It's a real talent, and I have deficiencies there. At a certain point, you know,
I have no feelings, so it's not like I'm perfect.
Yeah, and at being an artist and doing art for somebody else, when they reject you, I think artists tend to be more sensitive. Like, they don't like me.
I went to art schools. It's tough. Critiques are people not only looking at what you produce, but they're looking at you as a human being and saying, "Well, this is horrible." It's like, bitch, I'd like to see you try and do the same thing. It's like,
yeah,
you know, it's just everyone's different, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as an artist, you know, because I'm not sensitive, I don't react to criticism. It's just okay. I've worked with so many people in the industry, from publishing end of things, that I've been redlined so many times. If you know what that means, it means editorial changes. And I just divorced myself of caring about whatever it is I'm creating for somebody else. I only care, my emotions come into play only when it's mine. When I'm making something that I want to make for me.
Yeah.
And like my Doctor Who work, the Star Wars stuff I've done, you know, but when I'm doing a comic book for somebody, they'll go, "Would you mind changing this panel? Because I really don't." Nope, don't care. No. I'm fine with that. I'll do it.
Extra $10.
Yep. So, let's see. CJ, what does CJ say? Good Lord, the art war for drawing women, or for drawing women, is still going on Twitter. Yeah.
Don't even worry about it. The fact that you have a Tumblr artist who redid Campbell's cover because they thought the pose was wrong, yet Marvel's okay to put out the most racist, fucking stereotypical native Captain America.
I swear to God, you know, I've seen the complaint about that drawing for years, since it came out.
Yeah.
that you can't sit that way.
Yes, you
And
can.
yes,
Yeah,
you can.
She's
Yeah,
literally
you can.
sticking out and looking back. It's
Like they don't.
and
No,
even
no,
if
no. What they don't seem to understand is that is a pose, an action pose. She's either getting up or sitting down. Most likely sitting down, and she looks concerned. Obviously,
she's
and
mid turn,
it's
Kate, to the window,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
She's
mid-turn.
she's sitting down and holding coffee and looking out towards the window, concerned. Why is that bad? And
It's bad because their tits are bigger than the person who's doing the art. That's the problem.
Probably, but if any woman puts their arms
Sorry.
together like that, they'll look twice the size they are.
Yeah, it's called pushing.
It's just-
The push-up
it's just-
broad does that.
Yeah, exactly. You can blame Canada for that, guys. Sorry to be disappointed.
Blame Canada.
Here, hold on,
From-
hold on. You saw my post, Gerry. I posted showing pictures of different people who do different poses of Mary Jane, right? There's
Right.
even a woman who actually did a live pose of that cover. I'm like, anyone can do it.
Yeah,
still
and
can't.
and it's hilarious because he actually drew the anatomy one too, saying, "See, this is actually how women are shaped." And I am convinced at this point that it's not just that these psychos are jealous or insecure or anything like that, but they legitimately hate science because there are studies that have been done like 15 plus years ago at the U of M to distinguish how humans distinguish a humanoid shape as male or female. And it all has to do with the waist. The smaller the waist, the more female it is.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, anyone who is not cylindrical around, it's problematic. And that's not to say that V-shaped men aren't like the same kind of thing. So the more obviously V-shaped a body is, the more masculine it's going to be perceived as.
Gerry, can you share this, please?
Science. These fuckers hate nature and science.
Bam. Right there. So I don't see what the problem is.
I mean,
it's not going to be exact, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean, though.
Well, comic book art is supposed to be slightly exaggerated to begin with, so
That's pretty good.
But if we're looking at this, she's literally looking out the window at Peter leaving, and she's showing concern. And she's sitting down because she's holding the cups, and it's just the way it is. Yeah, sure, they're pushing up her boobs. Who cares?
No, they're not. They're not. She's slouching.
Yeah.
She's doing a tie. Tire banks modeling. Here.
But it's like I don't want to look at a comic book cover where look, another Brie Larson in Mary Jane's outfit. Yeah, I don't want to look at that.
I don't have a wide enough camera angle, but no, it's like
Science.
They just don't like science.
Mary Mayhem, yes, we go about 2 hours, sometimes a little over 2 hours. So thanks for being in the chat, Mary. Appreciate it.
Gerry's still a racist.
It's true. Maple.
Running.
All right. Let's see. What else is Scott's talent? Not you, Scott, this time. They're talking about Scott Campbell, the artist that did it.
I am too. He's a fantastic. I got to pitch Scott's Danger Girl to studios. I worked with him on pitching that as a feature film.
I love his artwork.
I
really do.
I have this actually signed by Campbell. I forgot the other one, and both Bermudas.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, he's an awesome artist. He's just got his own thing. He's what I like about Scott Campbell is that he has created his own unique style, which is so tough as an artist to create, and it's a style that people copy. There's like a guy that draws just like him that's doing stuff for Marvel and DC because I see his covers and I think it's Scott Campbell, and I look at the autograph and I'm like, oh wait, that's not him. That's some guy that's literally copying him.
It's like I'm just sick of it. Who cares? You redraw art. Make it your own adaptation. But don't get angry when the original artist was going to criticize you back because they can't. Everyone's allowed to criticize art. That's a form of opinion. But if the original creator made it and drew it, and you're going back at them and being all because they're criticizing you, the only person who's wrong here is the one slapping back at the artist who's criticizing what you're doing to their original work.
Oh, did you guys see the Sam Keith deal that somebody posted today? Someone redrew one of Sam Keith's The Max covers.
No.
And made it more realistic. It was hilarious. So
share that with me on Facebook. I'd like to see that one.
Was it this
I want to thank Roger H. for his $1.99 super sticker, Canadian $1.99. Thank you very much, sir. Always glad to see you in the chat. And of course, my buddy Rob, who I met through John over at Entertainment Hacker, gave us $1.99 with a message, hope all is well. Well, it is with us so far. Keith disappeared. I don't know what's going on. I think he's being taken over by a pod person.
I redid the Max, but I made it Max Segal.
Max Segal.
And thank you again for that, Rob. Let's see. What is Josiah said? SCW's. Well, look, cancel culture is a problem. It's a serious problem. It has to be rooted out. The stone's got to be lifted up, and they need to be clubbed to death, not literally.
They need to be clubbed to death with giant tits.
Yeah, motorboated to death.
That's exactly it.
So basically, that's what's going on with Scott Campbell's work. Cancel culture is going after him. And what we have to do is the same thing we did in the school halls when we knew those fucking weird people that were all about, I don't like the way you talk. You just walk away from them and ignore the fuck out of them. Just don't talk to them. Don't engage with them. Don't deal with them. Oh, it looks like Mardigan got sick of my shit and left.
He said, I need to step away for a couple. Did you read the private
I'm
chat?
busy reading the chat. The actual chat. So let's see. Taylor M. True, that fat Steven Seagal. Yeah. CJ, oh my God, I did. And yes, the Max. Oh, go back to the Max image. It looked better. I like that one. Even though that's my artwork, I like the Max. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Let me do that real quick. Boom.
Yeah.
Funny.
Mr. Tilkatrunk with a 99 cent. This is the 99 cent store today. Super sticker. Thank you, sir. We appreciate all your support, man. Always in the chat. I fucking love Mr. Tickletrunk. CJ says someone parodied with Sam Keith's The Max. It was hysterical. And Mr. Tickletrunk refers to it as a poop sticker.
Pooper sticker.
Oh,
Wow.
my wife is in the chat. Hey. Okay. It's body shaming, and it is lame. Mr. Tickletrunk says, I fucking love that comic. Yep. Big fan. We talked about it, 2 episodes back, The Max. And MTV.
Oddities. Yep.
And how it was on your show, wasn't it, Steven?
Yes, it was called The Max, and we were talking about the oddities because we were talking about old
I
stuff.
love that because so much
head.
interesting stuff came out of MTV in its early fledgling days of trying to do more than just music. It was experimental. It was on Sundays, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think it was competing with Fox. The Max is actually kind of a man rabbit. Why is his feet so big? Well, because he has a large penis.
Everyone likes big feet with their Easter basket.
At least Scott got the joke and Keith did. Who do I have to give a reach around to get people to say hello to me? Socks, we say hello to you, man. I said it earlier.
I was trying to say hello to you, but he kept kicking me to the backstage like a dick.
Oh, he's whining again.
Sup, Socks?
Well, Mr. Tickletrunk, go over to Steven's channel and look up the stream. I think it was last week. Was it Wednesday? What day was it we did that?
It's usually Wednesdays, yeah.
Yeah, go to the Wednesday show from last week, and you'll find it on Steven's channel.
Fuck it, we can make it next week. We can actually cover like the old stuff like that. Aeon Flux and the Max. Let's just fucking do it. You want to come on, Scott? You're more than welcome to join us that Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Amen. I'm off to bed, Natasha. You have a good night.
Yeah, and it's great talking to you, Natasha. Oh, I'm sorry. Did not mean to speak over you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't care.
Whoa, that sounded like Master and Commander stuff right there. That was weird.
Ian Flux was one of them that I brought up, and I loved that. I mean, when she catches that fly in her lashes, I was like, "That's it." I was all in. I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Socks Bulletin, yo, and Socks, hello all, and Socks is a friend of mine on Facebook too. We're friends on Twitter too, right?
Sorry.
And we've actually had him on the show. Really nice guy. But I want to get back before we end this show to what we were doing, which was focusing on you, Scott. We got another super chat. Hashtag freaky. Thank you, Zax, for the super chat. $5 Canadian. All you Canadians. And just having a blast. Some of my favorite shows, like we did last week, we didn't have a guest. We just paneled for a while, and I like interacting with the chat. It's always fun.
I question my life existence.
CJ, well, I talk to Sock all the time. That was my excuse. But Socks, he posts a lot, and I think Socks is posting on our private group channel. Scott, are you in our private group channel?
No.
On Facebook? Because you should be. A lot of good stuff in there. We got a lot of people that we give privilege to post and promote things. And you could be in there posting all kinds of shit. No, none of your weird porn, no.
Yeah, no.
Weird porn. What is weird porn? Like people with no genital.
Normal porn.
Weird porn.
Not the weird porn. Okay.
Mr. Tickle Trunk gives us another maple $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. And Rob Rules is lurking. I showed up at like 2:00 in the morning. He was live streaming a game, Star Wars. Shit. It was his Star Wars game. I just showed up. I was up working, and there was nothing to do. And I saw he was going live, and I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm just going to drop in."
I got some breaking news. We just lost Lando Calrissian. Marvel Comics and Star Wars claim Lando Calrissian is LGBTQ plus character. Will feature him on the next Star Wars Pride variant cover.
Wow.
What?
So Yep, that's what they're saying. Yep. Browning just put it out.
Nobody sees that as blatant tokenism, right? No, not the only one.
Well, not even just tokenism. He's also fucking toasters in his after hours too. So it's like,
wow.
I bet that's going to go over well. I bet they'll just sell so many issues.
It's going to make it weird when he was hitting on Princess Leia all through Empire.
Well, I guess he can be bi though, right?
No, he's pan.
He's pansexual, yeah.
So he even likes
he'll
droids.
Fuck anything. No, that means he'll just fuck anything.
Yeah.
So he's a slut.
Which is, he's a slut.
He's a token slut. He is a token slut. That's
okay. If y'all are just gonna go with that, and everyone should just call him out on that, fine. I mean, his whole character is like sexuality, so it works. Ironically.
But
the thing is that if you use the word slut, the idiots are going to get so mad, even if you're championing him as a slut. It's hilarious. Oh my god.
That's a way of life.
Yeah.
It's a choice you make.
It's a choice.
Mary Mayhem says, so normal porn is fine then.
I think that's what we're saying, yes.
So pretty much they're making Lando sound like he's the guy at the bar when it's about to close going, who can I fuck that's almost in my category now? Okay, now I'm this sexual. Let's go home.
Probably. That's what they're saying. And I think y'all need to make as much fun of it as possible because that's what they think they want. They want to insist he's irresponsible and making life choices that include STDs.
Guess what?
But, whatever. That's a choice.
I'm going to keep his dick away from my aluminum Falcon, that's for sure.
Nobody knows what that thing's carrying. Rob Rules wants to know if Mark Hamill is on TikTok.
Why?
I have no clue.
I know
Probably not.
Lando. I
You
know
should know
Lando
that,
is on.
Scott.
Is on.
Come
I
on.
know
I should.
I know Lando is on Cock Talk.
This is because of his droid in the Solo movie? Yeah, probably.
Here's the thing about Lando, and in Empire Strikes Back, he was an extremely attractive, alluring character, and Princess Leia was smitten. I mean, you could tell the blush in her cheek when he came onto
He
her.
kissed her hand.
Was for real, and Han viewed him as like a legit threat. Like this guy, I mean, he's just a good-looking
what do
guy.
we have
And he
here?
moves up to your girlfriend like that. It was like, oh wow,
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
I didn't deliver terribly.
And yeah, you did.
No,
yeah, you did, because both Keith and I were on the verge of having a heart attack.
Well, he's kind of dead now to the straight community. If you want to be legally bad.
Well, Scott, are you a fan?
Data-driven content, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Exactly.
Are you a fan of Venture Bros at all, Scott?
Yeah, it's true. Leah was so hot, Mark Hamill kissed her. That's right. Her own brother.
Venture Brothers, yes.
Yes. I love the Hank parody of Lando. I think it was one of the best depictions of Lando ever. Because he's just like, and his smoldering sexuality. It's like,
smoldering.
By the way, with the Venture Brothers being canceled and replaced with Bird Girl, I've been so excited to see that they are still not getting any viewership.
Oh yeah, Adult Swim is officially dead.
Yeah,
it's dead.
They're fucking.
It was the final nail. Metalocalypse was bad enough. They're dead.
Yeah, it's this. Yeah, Marvel has an obsession. Everybody right now, every major corporation that produces content is obsessed with sexuality, all the way down to children programming, and it's fucking weird.
Steven Universe.
Somebody got
Sesame
weirded
Street?
by me pointing out that just because she might be between the age of 15 to 19 doesn't mean she shouldn't look feminine with Ms. Marvel. My daughter was young, and as much trouble as I had protecting her, she still wanted to look like a girl. She wanted to show her shape. And I had to sit there and go, no cutoffs. You have to wear stockings with shorts. No arguments. If I see your midriff, I swear to God, you're going back in your room. And then when she started using a backpack, I checked to make sure she didn't have a change of clothes, because I did that shit when I was in high school.
I got a lot of way. I had good taste as a kid, but still got away with wearing corsets. So
yeah.
I only wear corsets when I want to hold the bowl of nachos on my chest properly.
So Zach wants to know, so do you think Lando and Han? No.
Ew, no.
CJ answers
That's
no.
That's what they'll do. But just like I said.
No. But if this comes to fruition, then Glover tries to come out to get another Lando movie made, it's not going to go. You want to know for one reason? China won't have it. They'll not give them any money.
Point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Colored?
The
gay? Oh, fuck no.
True.
And China is really financing most of Hollywood right now.
China is Hollywood.
I don't even want to get into that. I've been so frustrated with some of this art that's coming out, and he brought up, they put Iceman in a skirt. I don't want to get into it.
No.
Let's see. Let's see. What about Chewie? Look, I have seen the Star Wars porn parody. Yeah, he likes women. He likes female stormtroopers a lot.
He loves shining.
By the way, it's one of my favorite porn parodies ever. Was the Star Wars porn parody.
I'm waiting for the day I wake up and all you get to see is the Hollywood sign has changed today, and all I see is going to be red with gold stars. That's what I'm waiting for.
And sprinkles.
Sprinkles.
CJ thought that was funny.
And
maybe Lando likes C-3PO.
No one likes C-3PO.
No one really does.
Nobody wants to hear about protocols while you're doing his USB port. Come on. I am. Do you really want to hear a protocol droid in 4 million types of communication?
When I'm
Going,
nailing him in the keister, he starts speaking bocce.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No.
No. He'd be like this, Gary.
Dial-up.
Gary, be like this. Lando, spank my ass and call me a moisture evaporator.
If he dial-up sounds, that's what it'd be.
Well, the problem, Mr. Tickle Trunk, is just simply this. There is, yes, and cognitive dissonance is a good explanation.
Mhm.
But the fact is there's a hatred towards femininity and masculinity.
And gingers.
Mhm.
And they
ginger.
dislike men
Real
that are
one.
masculine, and they dislike women that are feminine. They want their women masculine and their men
They
feminine.
want everyone androgynous. They want us all to be the same. They don't want it flipped per se. They want everyone to be either cylindrical or round. There's
Did
no.
you see the? Oh, speaking of that, did you guys see that comic of like finally we have a female hero that looks like everyone? It's literally like Rita McNeil in a spandex suit with a cape.
I don't know who that is.
Oh,
Then no.
it's a the giant ass fat woman. It's
Well,
fucking
I mean,
horrible.
Edwin's new villain looks strikingly like me. Like when I first saw that, I'm like, what? You didn't ask permission, motherfucker? I'm kidding. It's fine.
See, you think she's timid and nice, and then she lays shit out like that and lets you know, you don't fuck with Kate.
Only if I like you, maybe, kind of.
Lando did ask if they needed help with. See, that's right. You need some help with your Troy? No, we got it. We're good.
Yeah, he dropped it awful fast.
Do you want me to cup your iPod port while we iTune your butt? Pretty much what it is. Thank you for the awkward silence, Dick.
I missed this one. Hold on. What you need, Gary, is a boyfriend baseball bat. Like just recently, you'll like this one, Scott, when Zoe was talking about friending her last boyfriend on Facebook. And, because he had sent me a friend request. And I said within earshot of him, I said, I don't want to friend that which I might have to hide after I kill it.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, and I was like, I'm always contemplating in the back of my mind how I have to kill whoever she's with if they do one bad thing to her,
Yeah, I have two daughters, so I've gone through the whole thing many times with the boyfriends. It's like, yeah, but I understand you want to be palsy with me and stuff, but I might, I might have to take the baseball bat after you here. We're not going to do it yet.
Yeah.
When you marry her, put the ring on her finger and buy her a house, maybe.
There you go.
They already started with Invincible. That Adam Eve looks like. Well,
no, we're not
Adam Eve. My problem with the way they drew females in the show is they all look like they have a package. It's kind of bizarre.
All right,
Yeah.
share this, Gary. This is literally what I'm going to go through right now. Finally, a female superhero who's just like us.
What the fuck? That's so oh my god.
Yep.
Oh my fucking god.
Yep.
Hot.
You know
Ladies
what's
and
the worst
gentlemen,
part? No,
Valiant Comics.
The worst part about this, I'm not a small person. I could never physically be a small person. No one in my family really is. We're all very tall, broad, and or both. And this is insulting to me because I have a small waist compared to the rest of me. I'm a very distinct hourglass figure. And this is not that. And they want it to be that. It's fucking not.
It looks like a Cadbury egg threw up and put on a cape.
It looks like the chubby girl from SNL.
No,
And-
or
I
the
don't
one
watch
from
And
what was
she's got a
Oh.
show that she's been doing for 3 seasons now called Shrill. It's on Hulu. And I was like, because I thought she was funny on SNL. So I'm like, oh, I might want to check. And then I read the synopsis and I'm like, this is a dumb fucking show. Because
Gerry.
their primary focus is that she's fat.
Do you
And it's
remember that?
That's dumb.
Do you remember that actress that was in those musical type of comedy shows, and everyone got angry at her because she lost all that weight? She was British or English.
Oh, yeah.
That's who
She's
this girl
Aussie.
looks like. You know what I'm trying to say? Aussie.
Well,
okay, my
that's
bad.
Yeah,
the thing
it's
is
like-
that they've transitioned the whole body positive from being like
Well,
your
that's not
number
being
doesn't matter.
positive,
No,
I
no,
want
no.
to go back
No,
to
no, no.
Shrill for a second. Hold on, guys. I want to go back to Shrill because part of the synopsis is that everybody is it like all the men, like her ex-boyfriends, all of them are bad. They don't say that bad relationships. They go because of all of her bad boyfriends, terrible boyfriends, and her boss. And I guarantee you, it's a dude. Is like pushy and demanding. And it's like, nope, I already see the politics of this show, social politics, not the political politics, but the social politics of the show. And I don't fucking want to watch it because I'm sick of this kind of garbage being thrown at us. CJ Snake says, okay, all we need to collect Faith rolls eyes. That's as bad as New Warriors Trailblazer. Yeah,
it's just like George Michael going like singing that song and going, "Gotta have diabetes."
Gotta have diabetes commercial.
Well, that's it. Scott has left the show. He just walked away and left us with his collection.
Beautiful. It's kind of fun.
It's Mark Hamill. It's at the door.
Oh my god!
So let's. I was going to enlarge it so we could see all the shit from there.
Shit everywhere. Sorry. I find this stuff oh wow, hi.
Can you adopt me so I can inherit some of this stuff? I promise to help carry it out during the fire.
Oh my god.
Oh, 1, 2.
Keith, what? Are you having a stroke?
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Hey, Scott. Wow.
Is that a Gorn?
Take a look at this.
Oh, don't show him the pimple on your ass.
Oh, yeah, an eagle.
Yep, just like yours.
Is that who made that one?
That was a friend of Keith's and mine, Brian Ray. He's he makes his own models.
Oh, nice.
And he gave me that, and I'm like, I looked at him, I had it in my hands. I said, I'm walking out of this room with this. and he goes, yeah, it's okay. No, seriously, I'm turning to leave the room now with it. You can't get it back.
I'm really taking you.
If anyone can find old Thundercats toys, send them my way. I need some like Thundercats toys,
especially Chitara.
They're getting expensive.
No, not Chitara. Lionel with the sword. Remember the sticker books you used to get, where you get the book, but then you'd have to collect the stickers, and they come in packs, and they go on the pages to make the diorama scenes.
Mr. Tickle Trunk, we saw that with Marvel when they wouldn't even allow the original Captain Marvel to be a man. They made it a woman. So
Ms. Marvel looks like a cat, like a Converse commercial right now.
Yeah, it's just the costume looks terrible. I don't care what Gerry and other people have said; it just looks terrible. Nick Fury will be our last. Nick
Fury is
Tim
mostly...
Possible. Hey Tim, glad to see you're still in the chat.
He got his channel back.
Museum.
He got his channel back.
Oh, Tim did. Congratulations, Tim. Yep. I'm glad to hear it, buddy.
Wow.
It was weird to see you with short hair, sir. That was weird.
You had the one from the 70s.
No, it was like old stuff. Pardon.
Why is Matt under Keith's desk? You weird.
And Keith's not at a desk. He's in his bathtub. Jesus Christ. Stick with the themes of the show.
You have a question,
Keith, I have never seen your childhood come back to you in such flashes.
Hey, Scott.
You look so
Mr.
happy.
Pickle Trunk says, Christ, they're comparing eagle sizes.
Pretty accurate.
CJ says, Faith, fighting bad guys and high cholesterol. No. Get your first issue today.
CJ, that's wrong. It's Faith, fighting bad pies and high cholesterol. She doesn't fight. She's on a laptop sitting on what's weird is she's sitting on the cover. She's sitting on the electrical line, but it's not bending down.
Okay.
On her laptop.
We can't show that because then it'll be making fun of people who are large. Showing them
being unhealthy is not good.
That's what I posted. I was like, these aren't role models.
They're just glorifying unhealthiness on purpose. It's really fucked up.
Look at all that up on that top shelf. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing great about that cover when she's flying in the air, blocking out the sun, I'm like, is that an eclipse?
Hey, is that Enterprise TOS or
yeah.
TMP?
No, that looks like That looks like the motion picture.
Yeah, because
related.
it's tilted, not going straight up. That's TMP.
It looks like a model kit though,
Oh, it probably is.
because I used to have one of the model kits.
That is awesome.
Where do you keep Mark Hamill's beard hair? And what's the grading on Mark Hamill's beard hair? Is it a 9.8? Is it fine?
Oh God.
Oh my goodness.
Scott, if you can't read it, there's a lot of compliments in the chat for your collection.
A lot of panties being thrown as well.
Let's see, where's it at?
You wear panties?
Mr. Kinney, you
I'm
can
not
add to
throwing
that collection
panties.
my envy now. Seriously, a very nice collection. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
And
you.
Taylor says that's a cool collection, Scott.
That is a
hand.
cool collection.
New
yes,
Valiant
the-
Comics. Faith, the hero that ate
Enterprise
every other
Bridge.
hero.
They haven't even seen my metal collection yet. I mean, we haven't even.
Metal?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
know,
like
we've got-
utensils. I use my fingers.
We've got
Ew.
Iron
Oh,
Maiden,
you mean your albums? Wow.
Ah,
Megadeth,
dude,
Wow.
don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do it.
I'll be here
No.
forever.
Means Right. Oh,
You
yeah,
need a
my
Clockwork
Hoarder album,
Orange?
of course.
You have an extra Clockwork Orange?
I have the Clockwork
Ozzy.
Orange vinyl soundtrack. The first
Yeah,
two.
but an extra? Because you'd
Maybe.
sell it and be like, oh, why did I do that 2 years later?
I do have I also have a soundtrack collection, of course. Superman records.
Oh, wow.
I used to.
Yeah.
I have that. I've got that one.
Do you need Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas?
Creepy.
This is
Yes.
this is a great one. This is a childhood album right here.
You need to take a HD
By the way,
picture of
Scott,
that cover.
Do you have, because I collected them,
Goldfinger.
the original Star Wars story
Keith.
records that came out with.
Keith looks like Family Matters.
The story record, Star Wars.
Sorry, Gary.
Yes, this one. You mean
Oh,
this?
Yep.
cute.
Yep.
Yes, that was what I was referring to. I used to collect the story records that were from the movie where you would get the entire story, but they would edit it down to be on a two-sided LP.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lost art. They would condense the movie down to where you could listen to it. This one I think is a double album,
Mhm.
so you get sound effects, you get dialogue, and music. So
Wow.
And I remember, like, Empire Strikes Back was narrated by, oh my gosh, not Roscoe Lee Brown, because he did Darth Vader for the NPR radio show. Oh, God.
Dude. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Oh my god. I
Don't
get
you
it.
have one for Clash of the Titans also?
yeah, I do. But this one is one of those stories that Gary's talking about.
Yep.
It is a story album.
I love those things, man, and I'd play them all.
Oh
the
yeah, as a
time.
kid, because this is important.
I was an adult still listening to them, so no, I can't use that excuse.
We didn't have VHS, DVD.
Mhm.
Some kids, like rich kids, had like Super 8.
Right.
But if you wanted to hear Star Wars again, you had to listen to this because it or whatever. Star Wars Black Hole, to get the dialogue, because you couldn't just go watch it on streaming. You couldn't. I saw Star Wars on HBO. I think it came to HBO in 1980, and I think that might have been the first time I saw it outside of the big screen. I'd seen it on Super 8 film at a friend's house, but it was like black and white, and it was 8 minutes.
Wow.
I had it on Super 8.
Malachi Throne. Malachi Throne was the actor that narrated the Empire Strikes Back album.
Wow.
You remember Malachi, Keith?
Wow. Sorry, I'm stunned beyond the capacity for
I
rational
could never
thought.
tell, Keith. I could never tell.
Ouch.
All the reactions Keith's done, Gary, you pretty much have all your channel emojis right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Is this the one, Gary? Is it this?
Yep.
That's the one.
Okay.
And it's narrated by Malachi Throne. As I recall.
Yeah, that's right. Correct.
And here, I'll pull up a picture of him so everybody knows who the heck I'm talking about.
RSO Records and the London Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, Malachi's on there.
Wow.
Yeah,
Here we go.
yeah, CJ, I do have Alice Cooper records, of course.
Here you go.
Oh yeah,
That's Malachi Throne.
that's awesome. Yeah, he was the guy that was a dick to Kurt. That's all. That's
Yep.
all I know him.
Why is there we go.
StreamYard kicked me. I don't know what the frick is going on.
Yeah, you just sort of popped out and then you pop back in. But Malachi, yeah, was on Star Trek, the original series. Great actor, great voice.
Yeah, excellent voice. Here you go. Here's a rarity.
Oh! I got it
The
in
Logan's
Logan.
Run soundtrack
I think I
on
have that
vinyl.
one.
Jerry Goldsmith. What a legend Jerry Goldsmith is, right?
Wow.
I think I have that.
I like that you switched it to Gerry. That was really sweet, Scott. Thank you.
I also have American Graffiti as well on vinyl.
Yeah, I'm sure I have it.
Yeah, Mr. Tickle Trunk was saying, hold that album still. He hadn't quite reached climax.
Here's one. Here is something that is.
Oh, my God, yes. I had that, too. Oh, my God, you're bringing back my youth.
You know what? Out of all the guests we've had on this show, you are the closest one so far to like modern day Forrest J. Ackerman with some of the stuff you pulled out. I mean, you're the new Uncle Forey for me now.
Oh, that's great. And that means a lot to me because I went to Forrest J. Ackerman's Ackermansion before it all got closed down. And
whoa.
I was one of those guys. I had Forey at a show of mine in the early 90s in Tulsa as a guest. And Forey gave me his card and he said, hey, anytime you want to come over to my house, call this number. And I was like, okay. So I was in Los Angeles some time in the early 90s, and I called the phone number, and there was a recording, and it said, hi, this is Forrest J. Ackerman, whatever. Uncle Forey.
Uncle Forey.
Said, the Ackermansion is open from 12 to 2 on Saturday, blah, blah, blah. And he gave a date, and I was there. That I called on a Saturday. It was like that morning. I was like, oh my God, I can go to his house. So I literally jumped in a rental car and drove to Forrest Ackerman's house. And he gives you a tour, or back then, of course, when he was alive and he still had the house, he would give you a tour of the house. And it was amazing. I mean, Vampirella, original art on the walls and paintings. And he had Frazetta originals and
wow,
all kinds of stuff, just film props and masks and things that people had given him. And he was so nonchalant about it, you could touch things. You could, he wasn't, there was no security guard there or anything. And then the second time I went to his house, it was probably a year or two later, and I called the number and same message. If I'm here, if I'm in town. And so I went to his house, and the tour started at whatever time, and I was 10 minutes or 15 minutes late. So I went to the back door, and no one was there. I walked into Forrest Ackerman's house by myself and spent probably, several minutes going through the bottom floor looking for people, and eventually caught up to the tour. And when I did, Forey saw me and he goes, oh, we have a latecomer. He could care less, he wasn't worried that I had been in his house or, that there were cameras around or anything like that. It was amazing. And I had a very similar experience with Bob Burns, who is a very similar collector of
Bob.
Hollywood props and stuff.
Before we go, I wanted to talk about Forey. because I have personal experiences with him as well. And this drawing, it was a commission I did for him.
Oh, yeah, that's very nice.
And that's the only copy I have. And I got so upset after he died because he had a website, and he had a special page where he mentioned on that page, Freddy Krueger actor, I just forgot his name, Robert Englund.
Robert Englund.
Yeah.
He mentioned Robert Englund and a special shout out to me for that artwork. And his son, when he died, took that fucking website down. And I'm like, why would you do that? Not just only his museum was important, but his fucking website, which was also a museum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His son was such a piece of shit. And I don't care if he hears about it. I was so fucking angry about that because there was so much cool shit, and that I got mentioned on his website was also awesome. But his website was amazing, Forrest J. Ackerman's.
Yeah.
And I miss that guy. I miss him so much.
We need him now. I mean, the way he looked at things and his very presence. I was lucky enough to meet him in St. Louis, and that was amazing. I mean, it was amazing to meet the man. He was the personification, really, of what every person who considers themselves a geek or a nerd now, he was the personification of all of that. I think he was also the first cosplayer ever. Yeah. He started cosplay, and he was just, I mean, all kinds of famous people. There are a lot of people that when they first got to Hollywood would always make their way to meet Forrest J. Ackerman and see his house. You know, Peter Jackson did it.
That was a dream to a lot of nerds to go.
Yeah, James Cameron
to have that pilgrimage to go to his house.
And the fact that his house is gone is just a travesty on so many levels. The fact you can't tell me that you couldn't have kept that house around and at least allowed random tours. You could have. I would have led the tour. You know, it would have been an honor to do it.
I got involved in both processes for Forrest and for Bob. And the people in Los Angeles had no interest in funding like a museum for either of those people. Bob Burns has basically left everything in his collection to Peter Jackson, and Peter Jackson,
he'll take care of it.
He's going to put a museum, but he's going to do it in New Zealand.
But you know what? It'll be safe. But
it'll be safe. But again, I mean, you know, Forrest stuff got split up because he sold it on eBay and auctions and stuff. So it got spread to the four winds. But at least Bob's stuff, which Bob told me, he said, I'm not selling this stuff because it was given to me.
Yep. There you go.
So it needed to go to some place that would house it, that would finance the housing of it. And Peter Jackson said, I'll do it. So there you go. You know, but
I mean, the only other person that probably would have been able to have room to house a lot of that stuff would have been Lucas. You know.
Yeah. And his museum is opening in San Francisco, so that'll be amazing. Honestly, it literally will be amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, Cavatino, yes, I knew that. I forgot to answer you that Star Wars was available on 8-track. It was a thing. And hey, Scott, this is T-shirt historian. He just got off work at 7-Eleven.
What's up, T-shirt?
Hey,
T-shirt.
How are you doing?
Good.
I'm glad to meet you.
And he's a historian, and
hence why I'm working at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, 7-Eleven's so important to him. Next week he'll be working at Circle K.
Yeah,
and every week it'll be a new convenience store.
True. Yeah, because you know the history degree is worth so much these days. You know.
Yep. I went and got an education in stuff about the past.
That's right, and now I'm pretty much living in it.
Yeah, buddy.
Wow, Scott.
Tickle Trunk says that we kind of made him angry because of the Forrest J. Ackerman and Bob Burns stuff. I have a very Indiana Jones view of shit like that. Yes, it belongs in a museum.
It does.
They
I've
were
even used that quote because I get angry when I find out that something's not in the right place where it belongs.
Yeah.
Like Fat Steven.
Where does he belong?
I'm sorry. I came out of left field. I had to.
I don't think I've ever heard you shit on him before. Wow.
I love Fat Steven.
This is an internet first.
I just think that given
I should
how
have Fat
long,
Steven all the time. We kid with each other all the time.
I just think that given how much time it took both Bob Burns and Forrest J. Ackerman to put together their collections, I mean, it's sad in the case of Forrest Ackerman that all that stuff is gone. I'm glad it went to fans at the very least, people who would appreciate. But that was on my list of things. You know, when I was young, I always thought that someday I'd be able to go to the West Coast and visit Forrest J. Ackerman, Uncle Forry, and see his collection. I had always wanted to do that, and I never made it. You know, that's a regret because I'm sure it was just amazing.
Well, I remember growing up reading the comic books and stuff like that. They would post pictures and stuff like that, so you could buy stuff that was signed by Forrest J. Ackerman, or there was advertising Forrest J. Ackerman stuff, and that's how I actually got to hear about him. So,
yeah, you know you love Forrest J. Ackerman when you look forward to his cameos in movies.
Yeah.
You know, Howling and what was that other horror film he did that I go, it's Forrest! And everybody be like, what are you getting excited about? No, it's fucking Forry.
Uncle Forry.
We all grew up on him. You know, Famous Monsters magazine and just
what's great about Forrest J. Ackerman is the influence that he had on all the movies that we loved in the 1980s that had special effects, you know, like Gremlins, you know, like people like Rick Baker and Steve Johnson. Those fucking guys, they grew up on Forrest J. Ackerman and Bob Burns, and they knew those guys, and they lived in Los Angeles, and they met them, and they were mentored by them. And so all the guys that made all the great movies that we love from the 1980s and the early 1990s were all mentored by these guys that were film historians, that did Famous Monster magazines, that collected all this stuff. They kept, because the Universal era makeup artists passed on literally to these kids their techniques, and then they wrote about them and told other people about them, and then Rick Baker learned from those guys and started doing makeup from there. It's just amazing that the heritage that was there is all pre-internet, pre-DVD. There's nothing that you get to watch. There's no YouTube videos of how to do this. These guys showed you how to do that. I mean, because they learned from Jack Pierce and people like that, and kept that tradition alive. It's amazing.
Did you ever hear Rick Baker's story about Uncle Forry and how he first met him? And that is a unique story. I can't even do it justice. I would tell everyone just to go ahead and Google it, because to hear Rick Baker tell it is so amazing. And I'm sure that story made it into the book that they put out about his career. But I think you can find the interview online with Rick Baker, where he talks about Uncle Forrest J. Ackerman and what he meant. And I think what it came down to is that he had never really been to that part. He had moved out on his own and had decided to come out to make his way in the business. He had no place to stay. He had nowhere to stay, and ended up, Forrest J. Ackerman allowed him to stay at his house until he
Wow.
got his own place. This is a kid new to the area, didn't know him from nobody, and he allowed him to stay in his house.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh God, the dude was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I said, to meet him was amazing.
Well,
I shook his hand, and that meant a lot to me.
Well, moving this forward, again, we can be stewards and ambassadors of all this geek stuff and be cool about it, friendly, helpful, tell people stories, you know what I mean? I think that means a lot. It meant a lot to me as a kid because I grew up, like I said, going to these Comic-Cons and meeting people like Kelly Freas and Robert Bloch and luminaries. And they would sit down and just hang out with you. I watched Cat People on HBO with Robert Bloch, the guy that wrote Psycho.
I remember that.
Because he was in the con suite. And he sat down next to me and just hung out. How are you doing, young man? And I spent the entire movie with him. And it was fantastic. It was amazing. And so investing in, fans and people that are interested in comics, movies, whatever genre it is that you're working in, and just hanging out and talking with them, you might be talking to, I think there's a famous story about Guillermo del Toro along these lines, where he met somebody, some influential filmmaker or artist or something as a very young man, 9 years old or something. And
I think it was the story about how he got the King Kong armature, how he first saw it.
Yeah.
And years later was able to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. It's just,
his collection is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Guillermo's, he was one of our targets. We wanted to film at his place.
He had an art show at the Art Institute in Minneapolis a couple, 3-4 years ago now. It was incredible. He has one of my favorite Giger paintings, which is smaller than I anticipated, and some original, I think it's original or realistic original remakes, whatever. I can't words. But of Frankenstein's Bride. It is amazing. It's incredible. Oh my God, I can't even.
Yeah, his life-size Boris is really fucking cool as Frankenstein monster.
Yeah, yeah.
He's another one of those really cool people. I mean, Guillermo del Toro, I could hang out with that dude and we could just, I could just pepper him with questions.
Yeah, but he got that restraining order against you.
Yeah.
So, not the first or the last.
Oh, dear.
What can I say?
Well, I guess we were almost going 3 hours. I think we should probably try to wrap this up. What are you working on next, Scott?
Really, my focus is these shows. I really want to build up the comic and toy shows for survival reasons, but also for personal reasons. I'm a collector, and I put these shows on, and I always end up buying a bunch of stuff. So that's my focus. That it'll be Retro Expos and Retromania. And again, like I said, I'm coming to Springfield September 11th, 12th. I'll be talking to you guys.
Yeah, come on the show before it happens so we can talk to you about it. And then, of course, we'd love to cover the show.
Yeah, we'd like to come to the show and actually do a show from the show.
That'd be great.
You can jump on, have other people jump on with us. And I would like to push you to start doing something on YouTube. And I guarantee you'll get a lot of help from the people that we have on our panel. We'll all jump in and help you. Also, you do need to be on some of our other shows. Mad Mardigan has his after-school special. Steve has the Wednesday show in particular, where we talk about the title of the show is The Shows That Made Us. And we talk about films, cartoons, TV shows, and it's all about talking about the past. And Keith got an important call.
Well, share my email with folks, and definitely want to schedule all that.
All right. And we will have you on again here soon. I'd actually like to have you on as a regular with us, part of the panel, just talking with other people. Would you enjoy that? Would you get into that?
The only issue is I do, because I do shows on the road a lot. I'm often on the road. I mean, I'm literally.
Yeah, you can do it from your phone.
But when I can have decent Wi-Fi, I would like to be on, more often. That'd be great.
Well, you need to follow me back on Twitter, and then I can add you to our group.
Okay.
Partake in our conversations, because I'm sure everybody would enjoy having you into the group.
Yeah, sounds great.
And anything else from the peanut gallery over here? Let's see what we got. Jedi Bill is here. Hey, Jedi Bill, what's up? Josiah, of course, is here. Cavatino is a military veteran buddy of ours. Let's see. Don't forget to give me his email so I can ask him to give me Hamill's phone numbers.
Hey, Mark will I'll let anyone know. Mark will let me give out his P.O. box. So anyone, just request it via email. I'll give you his P.O. box. He loves fan mail.
I bet that things get packed.
Yeah. He gets a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like I don't know. I've gotten some weird shit in the mail from people. And so him being a superstar, I can only imagine some of the weird shit he's gotten.
Yeah. His wife has to screen his mail, I'm sure.
Mm. And by the way, that reminds me before we go, I find a lot of the times when you're dealing with people that work in Hollywood, their gatekeeper is their spouse.
Yes.
And because I'm friends with a lot of people in film and television, and I develop relationships with their spouses more than with them.
Yes.
Gerry, behave.
I'm
Gerry.
Total gentleman. I am a gentleman. Because I joked with Graham Nolan about it. I said, I realize I become friends with somebody who's famous when I see their spouse on my Facebook page more than them.
Yeah.
And because Graham's wife is always on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
And Drew Struzan's wife is always on my Facebook page. And I'm friends with Drew, and I'm friends with Graham, but it's their spouses that are on my page. and Julia has told me, and Dylan too, it's like, oh, I'll see something on your page, and I tell Drew about it. And he goes, oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I can't get him on the show, though, because Drew hates doing interviews. Hates it.
Yeah, did you? I don't know if you saw this, but Drew moved most of the rest of his collection to Dallas.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, so that I don't know if you've been there to the Galactic Gallery, but it's free. It's worth the trip. You should go.
It's so amazing, and I'm lucky. I have a lot of his artwork on my wall because every year I'm on their Christmas list, so I get an art print, and I just fucking love that.
Yeah,
it's stuff that nobody else has seen. It's like, this is for private, and I'm like, yay, me.
Yeah,
but that's the only time I get excited about being me. Let's see. It's not an interview, then. It's a radio show. I have tried everything, Mr. Tickletrunk, to get him on here. Now, I guarantee you Dylan would come on, his wife. I guarantee you I could get her on here. And I'm thinking about just having her on to talk about his artwork, because she's got a lot of stories. Because a lot of those bodies that you see in his movie posters aren't the actors.
No.
It's him and his wife or friends.
Yeah.
And I pegged it a few times,
Yeah.
Like one of my personal favorite Drew Struzan painting of all time is Big Trouble in Little China, because he changed how movie posters were done when he did that. They said, just go for it, do whatever you want, and he did a movie poster that had so much shit in it, no studio would approve it, but it was approved. And
it was great.
That is not Kurt Russell standing there. It's his face, but that's Drew's body. And the image of Kim Cattrall at the bottom is not Kim Cattrall. It's just her face. That is Dylan, his wife's, posing in that.
Yeah.
But talk about sports for 2 hours. Nobody will care. Jedi Bill, great live stream. Thank you, Jedi dude. I'm glad you're here, Bill. This was I'm not going to say it was our best episode because technically the Robert Meyer Burnett is like the single greatest episode we've ever done. But I have to say, do you know Robert?
Yeah.
Oh, Keith and I love that guy.
Yeah.
And he is Keith if Keith knew how to sum stuff up quickly. And because Keith is very smart, knows a lot of shit. And but we tease him all the time that he takes forever to get to his point. But Robert, man, that guy just goes right to it. And
he does, except when he's wrapping up, it takes over 30 minutes with literally anyone.
Being like what's happening right now?
Yeah.
He's been wrapping up for the last hour.
So sorry, guys. I've got a great big pocket full of go fuck yourselves if you don't like it. So let me get to the chat and then we're going to get going. Let's see. Mr. Tickle Truck says, Keith Movie Geek, it was a fun watch. Zach says, I could watch this all day. Well, we could do it all day, but we got other stuff to do. I've got to finish a movie poster. Thank you, Jedi Bill. Keith doesn't mean it. He totally doesn't mean anything when he says nice things. Thank you, Zach. No, he's again lying. R&B needs to be included. I'm not in what? Included in what?
In everything.
A terrorist watch list.
We need RMB for everything. We want Robert Meyer Burnett on everything.
Great episode. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Socks. I appreciate it. CJ, I'm like Keith with I like Keith with explaining things. Or you're like Keith. I get it now. Just as fun to listen to while working. Yeah, I do that all the time, Tickle Trunk. And Tickle Trunk just sounds so perverse as a name. Until the collection was presented for us to drool on. Yeah, amen. Thank you, Socks. Fat Steven, I think I heard Gerry say pegged him, FYI. I don't know what the fuck that's about. Bother R&B every week. He'll show up eventually. Again, Keith giving fake thank yous. CJ says, fantastic episode, guys. Thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate the chat. It's like the only reason we can do this show is because you guys come and watch and interact with us. Otherwise, what's the point of doing this? It would have been basically our first 2 years of doing this, where we just recorded an episode and threw it up. Nobody ever commented. I'm like, we need to start doing live streaming. And since we did it, it's like, I'm very happy we do it. It really works. And I also think that doing it with a panel is better because I like interacting with these assholes that joined our team. Except for
assholes?
Kate's a sweetheart.
What assholes? What are you talking about? Mad or someone?
Yeah, you're not an asshole, not at all.
Nope, I'm not an asshole. I don't know what you're talking about.
But everybody's great. We once you join in on some of the episodes, you'll meet everybody, Scott. It'll be fun. Another person that kind of wants to do that is Cameron. I just forgot how to pronounce his last name.
Pasha.
Pasha, that's it. Cameron has talked about joining us on regular episodes, and which I think would be a lot of fun. Because it's nice to get people that are like-minded to join in, that love nerddom, hate cancel culture, and collect cool shit and fill their house with it. And I appreciate you coming on, Scott. I really do. And look forward to you joining us on some more episodes.
Thank you. Appreciate all of you for having me on. I really do.
It was a lot of fun. I know that everybody enjoyed talking to you. And Mad Mardigan had to go to deal with some stuff. And I know that he definitely enjoyed it too. He learns stuff every episode because he's a terrible nerd. He really is. And of course, for shame, Gerry. I love you, CJ, but go fuck yourself.
For shame.
Our chat is great. And I guess I will lead us out with our little outro. I think you'll appreciate it. And stick around for the after show chat. We'll talk for a few more minutes. And with that, here we go.
Goodbye, chocolate mousse. I'll never forget you. Goodbye, tu crois? Take care of yourself. Goodbye, déjà vu. I'll always remember you. And I'll miss you most of all, Scarecrow.